to see. We all want to be real.
Yeah. Oh.
Hello, George.
Hello.
Hello. Hang on a minute.
Welcome.
My camera doesn't want to. Hang on. My camera's
loading.
trying to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we would love
All
to
right.
introduce ourselves first of all, so just to get familiar. So we are hosts from OpThinkTeam Radio. We are hosting shows for 1 year and a half already. We are just having shows with interesting guests, scientists, artists, writers, philosophers, and all the rest of interesting people. And we are just having conversation and trying to gather all the knowledge into one, all linguistics, all etymology, arts, etymology, astrology into one, to help people to understand how everything is interconnected and how everything is coming from one source, and how to realize ourselves that being that part of that one. So we're just trying to help people to see that. And thank you, George, so much for coming to our show. It's a huge pleasure to talk to you. We have been trying to contact you for quite a while, and we've been following your work for quite a while. It's really a huge inspiration to listen to your presentations, listen to your radio shows, your works. And you are beyond inspiring. Your work is very important because you are uniting that left side of the world in the right side and reaching that balance. And also you seeing that energy behind matter, which is very important. And that's really rare these days, and it's really very important. So, George, you also are reminding us the importance of the energy of planet Earth. Also, how it is important to be grounded and also in that love, in the embracement of Mother Gaia, and also Mother Earth as well, and reminding us our never-ending beingness. Like you say, I have no ending and I have no beginning. I'm always here, always existed. So thank you for coming to our show. And George, you're also an author, you're a radio show host, so you do lots of those things and helping people to awake. So it's a huge pleasure to talk to you today. And I strongly suggest all our listeners to go and to check your webpage, which is ourjourneyhome.com.au.
No, it's not anymore.
It's not, yeah. So maybe share some links where listeners could find you.
I am infinite.love is my new website. So they can go there, and it's been a rebirth process for me. Very exciting stuff. Very challenging, yet very exciting. Yeah, I think a lot of people listening to this can relate to that.
Yeah, and also your book, I just strongly suggest to also go and to read George's book, also Our Journey Home, and also the movie as well by George is really, really interesting. And
yeah, the book's called Our Universal Journey. That's it there. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and that's kind of did quite some changing times, quite some very interesting, very energetic times that we're going through. And when Christina and I started OpThink, we kind of we're trying to get people to look at things from different angles, not just from that one angle that is natural to them. We're always kind of picturing a zodiac wheel and where you're situated there, and that's the angle you look from. But if you can look from all the angles from a 360 degree, if you can put yourself in the position of these other energies, of these other flows, of these other impressions that you get, then you get a much completer picture together, and that is really what got us together to share our knowledge. That of course we're ciphering from somebody else. That is the thing that goes round and round, the ion spinning. That's the action, the acting ion right there. Yeah, so that's us.
That's beautiful, and it's really nice to be able to communicate with people and sit with people who are genuinely on the path. And it's a lot of people are on the path, but there's a difference between the energetic paths between the people who are really genuinely on the path, because they're and I used to do this as well, so I'm not just picking on people. When we first embark on the path, we tend to go, okay, I want the truth, but we're not willing to start to break down all the programs and belief systems that we've got running inside of us, and we get quite rigid and we don't want to let go of them. And my journey has been public for people to see the growth and the process of how we are able to do that. So I've been trying to put myself out there as an example of the path and the journey for people to see what it's like to go through all the changes.
Yeah, beautiful. So maybe you also could share some current works, current activity you are doing now, or maybe some future plans you would love to share with our listeners.
Well, I'm really excited because finally, I've gone through all these changes and I needed to express myself in this new version of me that is now current in the world. So I've created a new company structure, a new website. So I needed a new infrastructure to actually have a model that I can communicate to the global community through into the matrix world, because the reality is the overwhelming majority of humanity, their awareness is inside this matrix system. So in order to participate in that and be able to share my knowledge and wisdom with my fellow human family who are unfortunately and sadly, you could say, apprehended by this matrix system, I needed to have an extension of my expression of my being by this, what we call a business infrastructure. So that's the interface where I can then communicate my knowledge and wisdom to the global community. So I've had to recreate that, a new version of that, because there's a new version of me. And the company name is called I'm Infinite, PTYLTD. And the website, iminfinite.love. And I am really excited because I've got so much to share. I'm currently writing a new ebook. I've got a workshop coming up on the 13th of February called Navigating the Matrix. The new ebook is going to be called that as well. So that's going to get wider reach. And I've also got a workshop coming up here in Australia, and we're looking at the 29th and 30th of April and the 1st of May. It's a 3-day workshop. The details will be on my website, and that is called Transcending the God Matrix, which we can get into that if you would like in our conversation here today.
Yeah, wonderful. New patterns to the matter. Absolutely. We're all kind of reinventing ourselves, revamping. It's also the time of the year, of course. And the longer process, but that brings us and reminds us, we there were old patterns that we were prone to live under or with to regulate and manipulate that matter. Maybe you can share how everything started for you. I know it's a long story and some of us have heard it, but maybe for our listeners that not familiar with your story, just kind of, how did it all start for you?
Well, it began from as far back as I can remember. For me it was, even as a child, I was having all these extraordinary experiences, beyond the ordinary. And I was going in craft at night, and I remember trying to tell my mum, I was going to craft, and I was having some really wonderful experiences, but I was also having some quite unpleasant experiences from a very young age. And then I found it really hard to stay awake at school because I was being interfered with so much during the night. And it was a regular thing for me in my life. It's never not been a part of my life. And the journeys and interactions I've been having with different cultures, different beings, different races, interdimensional beings, extraterrestrial races, has really shown me the diversity of life. And I began to really understand that this world and this reality that we live in is, as many people listening to this know, it's not what it seems. And that the information that is being shared to us, like when I was a child and I had to sit in class, and especially in high school, and you're learning science, for example. Well, I'm in a craft the night before, and the levels of technology that I was dealing with and the capabilities and abilities to be in a different reality and to be able to communicate telepathically or to be able to integrate with a planetary being or a star being or a galactic being, or, you know, and let alone other beings, to be one with the craft and to understand what it's like to be that craft, because you integrate with your heart and soul essence beyond consciousness, beyond mind energy, beyond telepathic communication, because it's an organic craft, which is an extension of another being. So it's a totally different way of life compared to what we used to have been conditioned to understanding here in this world. So for me to then go into a science class and they're trying to explain, you know, science's version of life, that perspective of life, it was just ridiculous to me. And I used to just fall asleep. It was a waste of time. Not to be disrespectful, but it's just ridiculous the way the human race has been programmed to think and programmed to see and experience reality. It's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, it's also very hard to understand the science they are showing us because it's so far away from Creator. It's like science and Creator is taken away from the creation of it. So that's why it's so hard to understand, and people who are feeling that, they usually can't even comprehend the science they are teaching at schools.
Well, science is a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what people don't understand. It's actually a religion within itself. It's an occult. And their prophets are people like Darwin, for example, is one of their main prophets. It's you know, and that perspective and that view of life, and it's very much a reductionist view on life. It's reductionism. And you know, all you're doing is getting it down to just mechanical, bouncing, matter bouncing off one another, and expressions of matter. And it's just so limiting, it's ridiculous. And when you start to experience yourself, because we are multidimensional beings ourselves, so when you get into that process of experiencing your own multidimensionality, then you instantly can see the incredible limitations of science in our world today. What I find interesting is science is also dictated to by the people that disseminate the technology we're allowed to have access to as well in this world. So we could, if we were free to, have access to the most incredible technologies that we would ourselves just create, because we would be allowed to engage in our own co-creative process, which would emanate from within, and the expressions that would come from our true humanity, you know, because we are truly humane beings in our core essence. That's why we're called humans. We're humane. And so we would work together, we would live in a cohesive world together, we would live in beautiful communities, we'd support one another, love one another, and we'd be so happy at every time somebody comes up with a new expression. We wouldn't judge them, wouldn't criticise them, try and tear them down. These are, you know, those negative attributes are not the natural qualities of a humane being. But the reason why humanity is behaving the way it is currently is because there is actually an imposition taking place on the human race. And there's a distortion field being imposed upon us. And that is creating a distortion in our ability to express ourselves naturally. So we're expressing ourselves through this filter, through this program, this interface program that is being imposed upon our humanity. So people are not being genuine and not being real. They're being false, and they're living their lives through all these programs, through all these ideologies. Yeah. And the way the human mind has just been programmed, we're not allowed to express our soul expression into this world. We have to live as robotic droids according to the actual program, cultural program of the status quo, because the people that run that program want us to be in servitude to them. They want us to be their slaves and their robots doing their work. Yeah. So there is, unfortunately, for those who are not aware of this type of thing, a very real imposition taking place on this planet. And it originates from a multi-dimensional cosmic empire. And there is an entity at the head of that empire. And this is what we're dealing with. And there's many factions within that empire. And a lot of the commentary that's taking place on the planet at the moment in the fringe community has to do with dealing with a lot of those factions. But if you're going to go all the way to the top, then you have to be ready to deal with the biggest concepts you are ever likely to come across in your journey in this universe, and deal truly with what's really taking place behind all of the different factions that are implementing their programs here on this planet at the moment. There is behind it all a single entity that is driving the whole show. And it's taken me some time to actually get back to that and have that, to live with that knowledge, to live with that. It took me quite a while to integrate it into my structure here on Earth, into this vessel, into my ego structure, which you know as George, because it is so confronting, because it is the total opposite to what we've been told. So we've incarnated into bloodlines that have been marinating in these cultural programs and ideologies for millennia. So the cellular rigidity, the rigidity of the cellular program is so strong that when I share my knowledge and wisdom with some people, they literally feel the pain in their body, literally. It's very disturbing to them. Not only do they have a cognitive dissonance that takes place because the mental programming all of a sudden is being challenged and then somewhat deconstructed. There's cracks that appear inside that rigid mental programming that people live with. But then also they get the reverberations of that ripple effect that then goes through their bodies. And then the cellular programming starts to be realigned back to the natural order.
Yeah.
And it hurts because it's like smashing, a piece of glass that doesn't want to break, that doesn't want to flex.
Yeah, it's like birth, also like word birth, earth is like the same, also birth, earth is anagram for word heart as well. It's again birthing that process. So we are feeling that as if planet is cleaning through us. So recently, we see those energies like, again, birthing of that, and also, like you mentioned, cracking and pain and stuff. So we have to go through that by that birth process together with planet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it is confronting, and people think, well, I'm being really negative about everything, but I'm not really. It's what I'm doing is I'm actually bringing to people's awareness what's actually going on, just the raw bones of it. This is the reality, This is how it is. If you like it, great. If you don't, go back and take the blue pill and go back into your trance, into your dream state. No one has to go where I'm going. Nobody has to believe a word I say. I'm really comfortable with who I am, where I'm at, and the experiences I've had. I'm very much at peace with myself and my place in this world. And I love everybody unconditionally, right? So I can't force anyone. I'm not here to do that. And just so you know how far I live in that, I've said to my own 2 sons, and I've set them free. And I say, you be the man that you need to be, because I would like for you to come with me where I'm going in my journey in life, but I can't force you. You're your own person. You have your own journey, you have your own soul journey in this universe. And I love you so much that I'm setting you free. And if you want to go do the God Matrix thing, go and do it. You want to do the science thing, go do it. That's your journey, and I love you no less.
Yeah.
So I just want you to know how I live by these principles all the way through in my life.
Mm.
Yeah. And also teach your... Okay, stop and go.
Yeah, I mean, that's really how we can lock the knowledge and gain that for our own power by experiencing it ourselves. That's why school is such a problem, the way of how we're educating our people to see a program that is not made by you. It's not an open source program. It's you have to actually readjust all the time, get into the code and do something. Just look at Facebook or the internet. It's a pattern that wasn't created by the community. It's not an open source tool that really evolves with humanity. It's trying to evolve humanity, and that way around and we're seeing matter and we're seeing energy in this false light, right? And that's why all the current events are so either disregarded or misregarded, right? What can you say about seeing beyond matter and finding your own energy?
Yeah, and we do it regularly, like every time we dream at night. Sometimes we go just into a dream state. And there's a couple of factors there, because so many people fear death. And I say to people, well, you come out of your body every night. You know, it's no big deal. You exit this reality and you leave your vessel every night. So it's something you do on a regular basis. But it's just because people are not consciously aware of the experience of it. And the way the ego construct interprets some experiences they're having in other realities, they think it's just a dream, because that's the way culture tries to label and identify those experiences. Because once you start realizing you're actually journeying into other realities, you're actually leaving the body and journeying into other realities at night, then it brings up a whole lot of questions. Then multi-dimensionality is brought into the spheres of reality, of awareness. And then that brings into question the whole status quo as to how life is structured. Brings everything into question. There are some areas where you just go into dream realms and you do have just dreams. There are others where you have experiences of future timelines. You have shares being shared with you, probabilities of future events. And then once you have that probability occur in your mind, then you get to choose whether you want that to be a manifested reality, or you can actually alter this, the direction you're heading in life. So you can actually change the events. Mm. And then times when you go to bed and you wake up really, really, really tired the next morning, yeah, because logically, if you've rested all night, you should wake up bright and fresh. But how often do you wake up and you're so heavy and you're so tired? Well, that means you've been working behind the scenes on the planet. You've had a very busy night.
The true jet lag.
Yeah, because our awareness is tired. And then that translates into the body and you feel the heaviness. And sometimes it can mean you've actually been transported into another reality, into a craft. And your body has to go through the readjustment into this vibratory field. And you have that heaviness in the body, aches and pains and heaviness. Yeah, so that's what it usually means. So experiencing our multidimensionality, and we do it too so regularly in our everyday today lives, from the ability for us to express ourselves multidimensionally. So you know how you sometimes have an experience with some friends and they're sharing with you something going on in their lives, and then you turn around and you just express this incredible wisdom that it even impresses you. And you go, wow. I was like, I really expressed myself so well. I shared really good wisdom, and the way I expressed myself was just fantastic. There was grace, there was presence, there was fortitude, there was confidence, and I was able to be really strong in that moment, and it just came from somewhere deep within. I didn't think about it, it just happened, yeah? In that moment, you are expressing your soul expression, and you are being your multidimensional self, and you are far more present. Your greater being is far more present than what you usually are. More of you is in the vessel, in this reality, sharing the wisdom. So when you think back how many times things like that have happened in your life, or there's been a crisis situation or a conflict situation, and you've just gone in there, no thinking, you've just behaved, you've just done what needed to be doing, there was no thought involved in it, and you helped remedy the situation. That is when you're in that flow from your greater being, and your capabilities and skill sets come through from your journey in this universe, because we have had an amazing journey in this universe, and we've been the greatest warriors, the greatest sages, the greatest nurturers, the greatest conquerors, the greatest evil lords, the greatest magnificent love lords. We've done all these beautiful, we've lived it all. And so we've got all these incredible skill sets inside of us just waiting to be integrated into this human form, which is a fractal of our entire universal journey.
Yeah.
everything we've seen, everything we've done, everything we've been in this universe. Incredible. What we are capable of, and this is the greatest secret that's been kept from humanity, is the magnificence of who we truly are.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't an ego trip. You know, I've had a debate in the Vatican about their God, you know, because they wanted to accuse me of wanting to be a god, right?
Mm.
And I said, I don't want to be a god. I've already been a god. I've been there. I've done that in this universe in my journey through it. Not interested, right? No thanks. And then they accused me of having this really insane ego. And I said, well, hang on a minute. Just because I speak with confidence and assurity and assertiveness doesn't mean I'm arrogant and I've got ego, right? It's all the self-righteous spiritual elitism. You know, they judge you so quickly. It's amazing. And I said to them, if you want to talk ego, your God, I said to them, is claiming to be the creator of all that is and all that exists. One entity claiming all of that on every level of life and every expression, everywhere, in all of the isness of life. And I said to them, I've experienced this entire universe. I've reintegrated with my infinite nature. I know I'm infinite. I've never been created. Never ever have I been created. I've always existed and I always will be. I'm a truly infinite being. This is what we are. This is the secret of what we truly are. We're infinite. There's no beginning to us. There's no end to us. And beyond this universe, in this infinite nature of life, there's no beginning. There's no end. It was always there. It's always existed. It was never created. Out there's no one anything. There's no totality. So there isn't this one creator being. So I said to them, your God is suffering from the greatest egoic insanity this universe has ever seen. So if you want to go there with me, let's go there, I said to them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just mind-blowing also that when you expressed about that moments of grace, like you were just experiencing yourself and just talking to people and feeling that grace, like at the moment, it's really just bringing me the understanding of the current moment, like when you are feeling with no time, no future, no past, just being in this present moment. I think it's kind of the same, so you just have no time illusion and just being here right now, and kind of same, I guess.
It's truly an amazing feeling to reintegrate with your soul, because the soul is the portal to beyond this universe and into the infinite nature. And my take on soul, because I've got my version of cosmology and the labeling system that I use, so I hope people don't get too confused with the way I'm expressing it. It's just got to do with vibrational patterns. So to me, soul, if I utter the word soul, the vibration of that, for me that's home. Yeah? Mm. So that's the part of me where I'm whole, divine, sanctified, untouchable by anything of ill intention. It's the aspect of me that's one with the creator of this universe. And it's the part of me that is integrated with you in this unified field of love. So spirit is a sharper energy, spirit, when you pronounce it. And that is a masculine energy, and that's a projection from soul into the creative process in this universe. Consciousness is also a projection from soul. So in my cosmology, soul resides beyond spirit and beyond consciousness.
Yeah. Consciousness
is mind energy. It is the mind of the universe and the mind of the grand cosmic arena. That's what consciousness is. And consciousness only resides in this universe. So does spirit and so does soul. And then beyond that, into the infinite nature of life, is other stuff. Yeah, that we can't perceive with this level of awareness down here. Because I experienced all these other universes out there and they're all different constructs. This one is light, and consciousness is made of light. Spirit is made of light, soul is made of light, and all different expressions of light. So when I talk about soul, I'm talking about the greatest aspect of expression of my being in this universe, and the aspect of me that's completely one with the creator of this universe, the real one, the natural creator. Yeah? Because there's the natural creator of this universe, and then there's the God of religions.
Yeah, indeed. And also you just mentioned the word spirit and how it just is sharper form of energy. So also spirit in phonetic sounds like spear, and it just to spear something with that energy and go into something, into human.
And that's the aspect where we project into realities.
Yeah, spirit.
Yeah? before we manifest a form, because we have to go into a reality. We need to calibrate with the being who is that reality in the creative process. And then once we've calibrated with that reality, then we project from that unified field of love into our manifested forms.
Also very interesting thing, like people like to divide like body from soul, from spirit, like it's different, like body is only a vehicle and you go and just flow with energy somewhere away. It's also like spirit just goes like energy, like going from galaxies, from everywhere. It's the same energy but only very dense, so the body is the same spirit, the same energy, so we don't have to think about like it's only vehicle. So people usually think that they don't respect their own bodies, don't respect their own soul, their own spirit, the creator, everything. So just
I fully agree. It's both. It's people say to me, is it this or is it that, George? I go, yes and. Yeah. That's one thing I've learned in my journey. So it's there is through the layers of expression, the vessel has a different expression to spirit, to soul, yet it's all fully integrated at the same time. So your spirit and your soul are not separate from your body, as you're saying. However, the experience of it in different layers of reality are individual, if I can explain it that way. And that's the trap people are falling into. So when you become more integrated with your spirit, with your consciousness, with your soul, you begin to realize you're this integrated, multi-dimensional being. And the love of self becomes very profound. And then through that love of self, then you can have access to the love of others in the true sense of the word love, what it truly means, not our ideologies of the way we've been programmed to think about what love is in this world.
Yeah, and becoming individual, which is in the vision of all. So, being that one image.
Right. Just the same just the same as ego that you just touched on, you know, the word itself gives so many possibilities away itself. You know, the ego is give yourself a go, or I go. You know, you can just go nuts with these letters and words and form them. You know, and that's the ego, the I go. Where do I go? That's crucial for any individual to find out what's my path, you know, what are my personal qualities, you know, and nowadays it's kind of put on your whole vision, your whole path is put on a material ground, you know, it's the brick road that we have to walk. There's an actual road that you have to walk. You know, this materialization of the ego is just so in your face that it takes away from you the power and the courage to direct that flow of energy. You know, ego, the energy goes. Where does it go? You're the one who directs it. That's your ego. And where that is should then materialize through your own idea and your own light bulb that went off in your head. That'd be perfect, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. And in my presentations and in my work, I say ego is not a dirty word. You know, it's not. I love my ego. My ego is my personality interface for this reality. You can't exist here without one. I mean, and people have all, again, it comes back to that spiritual elitism. Yeah? People get caught up in these ideologies. And I'm very raw, and I like to be grounded, even though I'm a big-time, you know, space cosmonaut. I like to be very grounded and very real. If you met me in person, you'd understand. I'm just it's how, just the way you experience me here, that's what I'm like every day. And I'm very quiet usually. I'm a very quiet person usually, believe it or not. Ego is not a dirty word, so I cannot communicate to you. You cannot communicate to me without your ego. Yeah? And when you go to, let's say, I can go back home to Cirrus on another different dimensional plane and experience some really incredible, loving and harmonious realities there. Each individual being there has an ego construct for that reality. Otherwise, their beingness cannot interface with everybody else in that reality. So every single dimensional plane, every single reality you experience in this universe has its own interface construct, and that's ego. and it's your individual identity for that reality. What the cosmopolitical campaign to do on this earth is to diminish humanity. So you get told that it's only earthly humans that have ego and no one else has got ego. And that is just total bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Utter lies. Every single reality has its own interface construct. People have their own identities, they have their own names. Even out in the infinite nature of life, you have your own unique expression of your own isness. Even though it's completely integrated and unified with the infinite isness, and we live in this cohesive harmony, right? You still have your own individualism. It never disappears. That's why we're all infinite together. I'm no greater than you, and you are no greater than me. Nothing exists beyond me, and nothing exists beyond you.
Yeah, you don't have to give up yourself in order to lose yourself.
Now here's the kicker, right? What this cosmopolitical campaign, this imposition is doing to the earth at the moment is getting people to think that their ego constructs are something wrong. Yeah, even though there's a distortion in our ego constructs, that's the problem, is the distortion. It's not the ego itself, it's the distorted ego which is the issue for us all. But when you experience your natural ego, which is your soul expression in this world, you begin to see the distortion field and you can deal with it. So what this imposition is doing is making you think that all ego is bad. So then what you have to do is you hand over your identity to a collective. And what they're doing is they're creating these collective hive minds, yeah? And these collective realities, it's collectivism. And then what you become is you become a passive droid living in this blissful state because cosmically they drug you with energy, yeah? And everybody's meditating, consuming all those energies and they're blissing out. You see it all through the New Age religion. It's really incredible what's happening. And they're creating all these amazing collectives, collective hive minds. And this is a very, very dangerous trap that a lot of people are falling into at the moment. Because being in oneness, yeah, that version of oneness is a complete trap. True oneness is when you embrace all life, you integrate with all life regardless of expression, without judgment, and you have the ability to understand all life. And you see, when you get the New Ages and they go, oh, you're being negative, or it's just, you know, they live in this denial of negative energy, yeah? It's a denial of negativity. And what they're doing is, because you've got to understand, I'm trying to explain this in the most simple way I can. We're dealing with an imposition that's been running for really a few 100,000 years. It was getting more intense in the last few tens of thousands of years, but it's really been intense in the last 6,000 years. Really intense. And so this is what we're dealing with. And over a period of time, it's trying to get people to lose their identity, lose themselves, to sever our humanity from our ego constructs, like a severing that takes place, because they want to take that construct, they want to take that expression and they want to use it for their purposes, because they like feeding off humanity as cattle, as chattel, as a resource on many levels. Many levels, we are resources. My mind went in so many different directions then, I've actually lost my train of thought. So the collectivism that they're creating is, oh, that's right, I was going into the true oneness. So the true oneness that we experience is when we go into our heart soul essence and we go into that place of unconditional love where we truly are in this unified field of love with everyone and everything, then we actually learn to embrace all the light and all the shadow. We don't leave anything out. The other concept promotes internal division because it's all about just the plus side. Yeah? It's a lot of energy I have to deal with. So sometimes my mind can't actually handle the extent of what I've got to deal with. Because when you get to the way I operate, you embody that which you speak. So I've got a fan on, my whole body, I'm going red, I'm heating up because of all the energy I've got to deal with. And there's just so much energy, and my mind and my ego construct sometimes struggles with the amount of energy I have to process internally. That's why sometimes I lose my train of thought.
And you don't
So
want to
when
let
we integrate,
you don't want to let anything out necessarily. You know, you want to sometimes have these informations come in. May they be really intense, but sometimes you just got to listen to that and lose your train of thought.
yeah, it rises, it comes from inside of me and emanates outward. It's not a download like others talk about. It's different. Yeah? This is from inside my heart soul essence, and it emanates from that point of singularity in my beingness and emanates outwardly. So my mind gets its instructions from, this is my third eye here. Yeah? This is where I access my knowledge and wisdom of life. Yeah, not in the headspace. This is now entrained to this. Yeah? So when we go into here and we connect with that true oneness of life, then what we're dealing with is understanding that we are one with everything. We don't become selective about what we wish to choose to integrate with. Do you know what I mean? Because we are everything and everything is in us. So the most disgusting, evil, darkest, debaucherous, masochistic, disgusting energy you could ever imagine existing, yes, I love that unconditionally and I'm one with that. I'm not going to leave that out. Yeah? But the other version of oneness is everybody must be blissing out in this fancy high-level love energy, and that's the collective, those versions of oneness that's being created, and they're getting taken to realities which are being set up for them. So they're going from a very difficult prison of hard labour to a prison of bliss and fantasy and passiveness. So they're being turned into passive slaves, because to override free will, you've got to convince people to love, for them to love what it is you're offering them. Yeah. So people need to love the fact that they're going to get searched at an airport.
Yeah.
Right? So then you can implement, the more stringent measures that you want to implement. So you've got to get them to want it. Yeah?
Yeah.
So this is the way the system operates. The guys doing what they're doing on the geopolitical level are getting their lessons from their overlords out there. Yeah.
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 Really setting traps up for us to scream for help, so that then they come.
That's exactly what they want to do, because they want to come and save you. And and you'll notice that they're blending the hero archetype now. They're distorting it and turning it into the savior archetype. Yeah?
Right.
Because the hero archetype is awesome. I have to work with that archetype. I have to work with the warrior archetype, the nurturer, the protector, the guardian archetype. There's many archetypes I work with. So the hero archetype is really important in all of us, and the warrior archetype, because we have to make a stand against this imposition. I don't care who you are. If you don't activate your warrior archetype, you're toast. You're gone. Because you won't be able to make a stand against this imposition. You have to. Yeah? And I'm not saying fighting. I'm not talking about fighting.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just making a stand and having a presence. And just having the strength to say no. Yeah? That inner fortitude. No. Yeah, you do not have permission.
Most powerful word, right? Because if you don't
Yeah.
say no, it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we're also dealing with is just taking it back to that oneness is we've got to understand these different versions of oneness and collectivism, collective hive minds that have been created. And they're very dangerous. And I'm just asking people to really understand that true oneness has to do with unconditional love, where you embrace all life. And in order to be able to do that, you need to embrace all your light and all your shadow. Don't live in denial of your darkness. That is the most toxic thing you could ever do to yourself. You have to embrace that aspect of yourself, and you've got to love and nurture it, because then what you do is your light and shadow, you bring them together because you embrace them, and then you integrate them, and then you transcend the dialectic. See?
Yeah.
Because if you just deny the negative, you go over here to the positive, and then you're stuck there. So
Yeah.
you're just bouncing. Because these are alter egos of one another. But the positive white love and lighters see themselves as though they're on top of the negative dark energy. It's not true. They're across. Because it's waveform. So both are equal. Yeah? Equal expressions either side of the centered line. They're both equal expressions.
Yeah. It's just different names maybe. Just read an article today, and I knew we're going to use that tonight, and that's why that came across my path, I guess. But it was just talking about the simple thing that Jesus and Lucifer are the same thing. In the Bible, they have the same name. The morning star. They're both bringing light. The one is already light. The other one is darkness, and it's trying to show you your darkness, so you can shine that light there. It's pretty much, or it ends up in one and the same, and it has been split up into this dialectic, literally different words, and just painted a different color, with fear, with the help of where we divide ourselves, fear.
And that whole story's been hijacked. So, even Jesus, the name, who gave it to you? Who told you that Jesus was the Christ? Who told you that? I'm asking you the question for real. Who told you?
Me personally? Nobody.
Yeah.
No, you got the name from somewhere. The masses, the humanity got the name from somewhere. Who gave it to humanity?
From history, his story, so.
Some authority that is certainly not us.
Right. You got it in the Bible. That's where that name came from, right? And who gave the Bible to the people?
People themselves, by the times when consciousness was low and we just forgot everything we were.
Well, it's the priestly caste is the answer to that question. And who did the Christ warn us about above all? It's the Pharisees and their deity. So you might want to rethink what's actually going on in this world.
Yep.
Because if I'm a cosmic conqueror, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hijack the spiritual doctrine of that planetary population. And I'm going to get the people worshipping a deific figure, which will be the interface for me to feed off that planetary population. So that's the first thing I'm going to do as a cosmic conqueror. See? So you got to be careful here. You want to understand how deep this imposition goes, the deception. You want to understand how deep the deception goes. And I still use the word Christ because, not only does it reside in your soul and your heart, and it's the same as Buddha, it's the same energy, right? I still use the word Christ, but I don't attribute the word Jesus to Christ because that name was given to us by the priestly caste. Yeah?
Yeah, it's exactly.
So all you're doing is sharing with me is the doctrine from the priests. Yeah? That's what we need to start expanding our awareness away from. Because it's no different. Someone says, I'm not religious, but I still believe in the Bible. Well, I said, well, you're still religious. You still believe in the same deity. Yeah? You still believe in the same doctrine. You're still using the same labels, which means you're still using the same vibrational patterns, which means you're still opening the same portals and feeding the same entity. See? So if you want the reality of what's going on here, I'm being real with you here now. totally honest and real. I don't, you know, this is the reality of what we're dealing with. This is a multi-dimensional empire that's imposing itself here on Earth. Don't think for a minute it's just geopolitical. This goes back hundreds of thousands of years, and this is a very, on one level, this is as serious as it gets. Because when it comes to the drama in the cosmos, the entire future of that is at stake here because of our fractal nature. And there's a lot more going on here than people realise. You know, that empire has sent its the resources it has available to it. That empire has sent different groups from different dimensional realms within its empire. And it has assimilated countless galactic realities, countless pseudo-universal paradigms. So just to give you the extent of how big this empire is. When you're talking about universal paradigms under its umbrella, can you start to imagine on all the dimensional realms of those universal paradigms? So you can imagine the extent of the resources it has available to it. It's vast, really vast. And so it will send one group from that dimensional realm who truly believe in the doctrine and the light of God. They truly believe in that because this entity, which is called God, Yahweh, Allah, whatever you want to call it, has a name in every culture. This is what we're dealing with, is an entity that's claiming to be the creator of all that is and all that exists. And what it's done is it's created its own version of light in this universe. It's not the real natural creator of this universe. It's an ego construct that resides in consciousness. And I know this is hard for people to take because all people in this world have had is exposure to the status quo, to the running commentary, to the doctrine that's been disseminated into the human psyche, into the masses of humanity by the priestly caste, by the people that only want you to have access to what they want you to have access to. So then you only taking in that information, so then your perception of reality is just that. So you will see life the way they want you to see it.
Mm.
But you know, people never actually sat back and thought, so here we have Christian, because behind every geopolitical construct there's a theocratic construct. Even if it's communism, there's still a theocratic construct there. So, well, the Western world, what we call the Western democratic world, in the early days, when you ask where democracy was born out of, it was born out of Greece. And at the time, the theocratic model was the cult of Zeus. And there you have Zeus, the authoritarian figure with a lightning bolt and the eagle. Yeah? And then after a while, cosmic conquerors work out that if you try to control a reality or a planetary population by force, then you'll always get a revolt. It never lasts long. So what they've got to do is they've learned how to use love to conquer, to control, to apprehend. Yeah? So what's happening is love is being used against humanity. The lies that are being served up to humanity are being served up through love, the frequency of love, a type of love energy. Yeah? Not true love. Yeah? And so what they did was they recreated Zeus. They had to repackage him. So it could be a more marketable, more palatable figure. So from the authoritarian father figure of the Old Testament, Zeus becomes Jesus, a younger Zeus, and it goes from the lightning bolt and the eagle to the staff and the lamb. Much more lovable character.
Indeed.
And the priests have created an image and a personality construct for the people to love, to fall in love with. And that deity, if you can see it from afar in the cosmos, you can see where these deities reside, and then you can see the way the energy is just feeding towards them off the planet. And they're just, every time someone goes, oh, Jesus Christ, or someone goes, oh my God, or God willing, oh, it was God's will. You know, ka-ching, 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 every time. And these entities, these deific constructs, are an interface for other energies behind the scenes that are just feeding off the worship of humanity. Because people always attribute the power of creation to this entity called God, or they say Allah, or they say Yahweh. And these are all different interface constructs for this entity, which is feeding off this entire reality.
Yeah.
I was just
And
going to
this is what
ask,
we're dealing with.
right, and I was just going to ask, how is this empire organized or constructed? How does it look? And it just came to me. I just rewatched one of your presentations, I think from 2013, where you talked to a fellow and you said, that is the lie. That is the I above there, the Li, the false God entity that is projecting yourself onto you, where it suggests, that the I is you on top of the pyramid, but it's really hijacked in the way that you just described. Wow.
It's totally hijacked. And it goes even further. I mean, the level of imposition is we've all even had implants infused into our physiology, which people venerate through spiritual doctrine. Now, that's clever. I'd do the same thing if I was a cosmic conqueror. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because then you've got people loving and worshipping you through your doctrine and then connecting to you through what you've infused into their physiology.
Yeah, and giving energy away freely by free will. So even the word believe is like believing. They're believing by leaving themselves. So they believe on some Jesus will come in the clouds and save them. So we are just leaving that, and he will never come because he's leaving all the time, leaving their own energy, and they are sending and watching.
And they're being the lie.
Being the lie I have for you. Yep.
Yeah. So, I want people to really take into consideration I've just shared. You don't have to believe anything I just told you. I'm at peace with that. People are going to want me to call me Satan and all this sort of garbage. All you're going to be doing is throwing back at me is rhetoric, biblical rhetoric from the priests who have programmed your mind. That's all you're doing, nothing more than that. So you might want to rethink all of that. And the truth, that's why I wear the sword on my arm, because when you embody Logos, you embody the truth. And the sword, when it gets wielded, like I just did, metaphorically speaking, it cuts through all the lies and the deception. And if you're living a lie, if you're living a false belief system, and thou shalt not worship false idols, you might want to rethink that, then you're going to hurt. My words are going to hurt you. Your mind's going to hurt. Your emotional body's going to hurt. You're going to get a reaction. And the entity who's your overlord, which you're worshipping, is going to influence you to want to project anger towards me. That's the way it works. I experience this regularly.
Right. And truth
so
is
all I'm doing is exposing what the listeners, some of you listeners, are experiencing right now.
Right. And truth is an anagram of hurt, if you want. And that is another way of how we can actually reassess of who we are and where we are by looking at the tools that we have at our disposal. And one of them is language. Another one would be, history, which is really difficult to go through because there's so much, bullshit around that you have to wade through to get to some kind of understanding of what's going on, but that's kind of what we've been doing, and we just want to bring one word here to you maybe that goes at least historically, or just a story back to our origin on this planet and how this planet was really, really early, and it had the name Pangea. And when you go back to that, you see God entities, two of them.
It actually means Panagia in Greek. That's where it comes from. Panagia.
Yeah.
And that's the name for the Divine Mother.
Right. But even in this modernized word, even in the modernized languages, you still find roots through, tools of sound, of phonics, that are hidden in there. So Pan, obviously we know Pan, he's the male woodsman, yeah, the green giant, and we have Gia, which is Gaia. So now you have the two there, male and female, that are the earth gods, and they build this Pangea, which if you look at it in the form, actually looks like a fetus. It has the form of a fetus. So it
It
is the
is.
first baby of these two god entities. If it was that way, we don't know. Right, there you are.
And
Yeah,
also the form
Yep.
of golden sequence, of golden ratio as well. So everything into that.
right. The base. It's also the
Absolutely.
base symbol.
Yeah.
The base key
Because
is also the
Yeah.
nine, and base and base, basic. There's the phonics again. That is the base. That plays the melody, the music.
yeah, I say to people, it's really important to try and understand or remember, is the right language in here. It's really important to remember who it is you are incarnate upon. And it's really important to remember who it is whose soul or body you're incarnate inside of. So who's the earth and who is the sun? And this is just your immediate local cosmic environment. Immediate environment, cosmically speaking. And everyone's forgotten. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even remember who it is you're incarnate upon. How insane is that? How can you not know who this planet is? It's crazy.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, because your relationship with this planet is the reason you exist here. It's the foundation for your existence in this reality. Without that relationship, you do not exist here. Simple. Right? Strip all your beliefs, just get it back to bare bones, bare minimums. Without your relationship, your personal, individual relationship with your planetary mother, you do not exist here. It's that simple. So who is it that you're in this deep and intimate relationship with, that you're breathing in her air, you're drinking her waters, eating her foods? She's nurturing you every moment of every day. She sustains you, she holds you, she loves you unconditionally. And we all just disregard her. We're so caught up in our own little fantasy world, I think it's time we got back to reality. Regardless of your belief system, you don't exist here without that relationship. It's that straightforward. Yeah? And when you start to reconnect with her and rekindle that relationship and walk this earth in an open and honest relationship with her, and oh yeah, you communicate with each other, by the way, clearly and distinctly. Sometimes she will communicate through messages, signs, symbols, subtle feelings, subtle nudgings. She's beautiful. And sometimes she'll just slap you one. If you're out in the ocean, a wave comes and goes and slaps you in the face. Like, whoa, okay. So the lady of the sea is trying to get my attention. What's this really about? Yeah? What is it? What's going on? What were my thoughts just before that happened? Well, why is she trying to get my attention? So we need to understand how to navigate our way through this reality and understand how we're interacting with it, how we're in this continuous, beautiful interface of flow, of energy, of interaction constantly with her. Constantly.
Yeah.
And then we can read it and we can navigate so much better.
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to ask you about, some delusions and false ego programs which are happening now. Like in our circle of, truth seekers, there is some topic now which is very well discussed now is flat earth. People are just talking the earth is flat and so on. So they are just focusing on the body of her, not only her inner energy. So if you see the energy and what's behind this program, they are just pushing now. So it's like they are trying to disconnect the children from the Gaia herself, from the mother. So it's I don't know, it's to me, if looking, just taking the basement of people and children from that mother Gaia. So, and people are so falling into that program now. So it's just like mind blowing how strong it is now.
Yeah, and what it does is it feeds straight into the mind, because the whole argument's based on logic. The whole thing is just purely based on logic. Yeah? So anybody who's got a quite the intellectual ego that's active, they're just going to lap it up. They're the ones who will fall for it straight away, instantly. Yeah. So I know it's not flat because I've got the privilege. I've had the privilege of actually seeing the planet from afar on multiple occasions. You know what's really interesting is, what are the remote viewers saying about this?
Why is nobody asking that? Yep, zoom
So
out.
I know the Earth is round. I know that. And for me, what it is it's a data mining operation.
Yeah.
Okay, even though they're using somebody who truly believes in it, yeah, because that's when it gets sold better. Yeah,
Right.
The ultimate salesman is someone who truly believes in the product. And so what you've got is a person who is totally in that vibrational field, sharing the logic with passion, and it's great. It's good to see. I love people doing that because I do it. I work with passion. You've got to have passion in life. It's that fire element. It's fantastic. And what it's doing is it's seeing how malleable the minds are. If they can mold, how soft and how they can, like putty, they can mold the minds of the people in the fringe community. Yeah. So with just planting this piece of information in there, and the response they just got to see that they have the ability to brainwash a lot of people
Right.
in a very short period of time, and they had barely even tried. They probably barely used, not even a fraction of the mind control weaponry they've got at hand, which, by the way, has been infused with whale cetacean energy.
Right, and it's a huge thing, even though some people argue, what does it matter to me if it's round or flat? It's a huge thing. It's a huge belief anchor that is attacked there, kind of.
It's a massive distraction.
Yeah.
That's what it is as well. It's a huge distraction.
It's kind of, you've talked about that before in your presentations, and we had some thoughts about that as well. It's kind of trying to hold us back from experiencing the next dimension and pulling us back into another dimension.
Yeah.
Where you said where these, I'm not sure what...
Linear dimension.
1D, 2D, right? Maybe you can expand on that a little bit. That's lovely.
Yeah, we want to go into multi-dimensions. So what have they got to do? They got to do the opposite. Remember, this is a universe of contrasting expressions.
Yeah.
So whatever exists, there's something else. The equal opposite of it. So we want to go into an expanded multi-dimensional awareness. So what are they going to do? They're going to try and anchor us down into a flat linear dimensional space.
Right.
1, 2D, like you said, 2, 1D. And when you look at life, everything's curves. There's not really that many straight lines in nature. Not really. You can say there is in crystals, and there is in ice, and there is in, but that's all that crystalline structure is usually straight lines, yeah? But the rest of life, it's all curves.
Yeah.
Right, so it's that life is not flat and linear. Life is curved and rounded and has beautiful forms and expressions, And this is another thing I'm going to talk about now is the new religion that's been created now is the sacred geometrical one, sacred geometry. Yeah, that's the next religion that's been created, the next level. because I've experienced life beyond mathematical construct. We exist beyond mathematical construct, yeah? And I love the Vesica Pisces. I love the Fibonacci sequence. I love all that stuff, yeah? Because I resonate with it. And it's the best way our minds can begin to understand via that interface of numbers and template structures, how we can begin to understand life. Life came first, numbers came after. That's what you really need to understand, that life existed before numbers did.
Yeah, trying to make sense of it. It's
So numbers are a language, yeah, and the reason people call it a universal language is because it's very sterile and it crosses cultural boundaries, borders, yeah, and cultural programming. So it can be shared from one culture to another because it's not influenced by cultural programs, and both more than one culture can understand the concept. So numbers are very useful, but they're also used to describe and define life. But when you start creating life via a mathematical template, then what you're doing is you're stepping into synthetic life construct. So example, the Merkaba vehicle, yeah, is the false light body. It's not your natural light body. Your natural light body already resides within you. You already have it. If you create a Merkaba template and create a light vehicle and step into that, you're using a synthetic light vehicle to navigate your way around. As the way we create, I'll explain how we create a craft, for example, from which aspect of self? Okay, let's say my cetaceous humanoid aspect in the Sirius system. So that aspect of self, if we want to create a craft to go to another system because we need to be there in that expression, which we don't have to, but for the tasks we require to do, we need to be there in that expression. Then what we do is we have the person with the original intention, which is the base energy of that craft. And this is the same principle for any reality that gets created. And then you have the beings who are, it is in their soul journey to co-create with you in that experience that you wish to co-create. And then their energies get included. And then what you do is you create a unified field of love because you sync up all your heart soul essences and you work from the place of universal law, L-O-R-E law, the natural law, real law. And then you have co-created agreements, and then all of a sudden you extend out and you create that extension. And the craft is an extension of your being, and everything that the craft does is on you. Mm-hmm. And that is how the craft becomes manifest into form. We don't use mathematical templates and sacred geometry to do stuff. Yeah, it comes from the fields of intention through an energetic swirling form of energy into the quantum field, yeah, and then into the atomic field, and then into the cellular field if you're going to create it in this reality. But if there's other realities, there's other constructs. Yeah, so it just becomes form. And no mathematics is used, no geometrical templates are used. For the technologically based societies, they use templates. So you need to understand the natural order, natural organic way of doing things, and the synthetic way of doing things. So now the Merkaba, all the platonic solids, all the flower of life templates, all of that, they are wonderful definitions via geometrical shapes to help define life, right? But life came before those templates. Those templates didn't become before life, yeah? But what beings are doing is they're using those templates to then feel those templates with life force energy to manifest life. And it is those cultures, yeah, those technologically based cultures that are imposing here on Earth at the moment and disseminating that doctrine. So you need to choose how you like to go about doing things. Like I said, I'm not telling anyone what you can or you can't do, yeah? In everything that I'm sharing I'm just sharing with you my experiential account of this universe, and then you just decide which path you want to go on. It's up to you. But I feel that the natural order and natural law needs a voice in this world. And that's what I'm here to do.
Right. And even though we're still doing it via new technology, you know, Skype is, internet is one of those things, because we're reaching at the moment more people that way. Currently. But we are aware that it is somewhat of a crutch to remind us that we have this possibility to communicate with everybody or just single individuals over great
it's
distances.
good if we see it as it's good if we see it as a stepping stone, and we don't give our power over to it. This is a temporary measure until we really step into that place where we can communicate with each other, we can bilocate, because being able to bilocate is normal. Not being able to do it, like we're constructed now, that's not normal. Being able to communicate with each other all around, anywhere on the planet, that's normal.
Yeah.
Not being able to do it is not normal. Yeah.
Right. It's kind of the, you know, telepathy, remembering how that works. Just look at...
Beyond telepathy, Stefan. Telepathy is a function of the mind. So I'll go on board certain craft and interact with certain races, and they use telepathy. Other races, in the deeper natural order of life, they don't use telepathy. We communicate, we integrate being to being. So we integrate with our heart soul essence to heart soul essence. Yeah? And then you integrate with one another. Then you know everything about one another, and you experience what it's like to be one another. It's a completely different form of communication. It's the deepest.
Hard telepathy. The feeling that a mother has when she feels her son on the other end of the world has a problem. The instant, not mind, there's no information there. It's really just a feeling of, yeah, you just know.
It's just this isness.
Yeah.
Right. Is.
Isis.
Yep.
Even the heart, you know, in astrology, heart is ruled by Leo, and Leo is ruled by Sun. And Sun symbol is like circle and dot in the middle. So again, we have that eternal circle of 314, and we have that dot in the middle, which is like piercing that circle and uniting all of those colors into that one. So also the same. So you have to work through that heart, and also heart is Leo, and also in the it's color again green. So again, you have to connect with nature, of Mother Gaia, and to pierce yourself through yourself insights.
Well, that means I'm living my astrological sign because I'm a Leo.
Yeah. We can all feel the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's passion. A lot of people think it's anger, but it's not. It's actually passion. We've forgotten how to be passionate, you know? And if we're not going to be passionate about this, we're just lifeless droids, you know? Passion is our humanity, and you've got to feel that emotions. Managing your emotions is important, but denying emotions, that's really unhealthy because you're suppressing the flow of energy. You've got to let that emotion, you've got to let that energy in motion flow through you and learn how to manage it. And it can become very powerful, and you can, you know, direct it in different ways through your creative process. It's fantastic. Never lose your passion. Don't ever lose your passion. Yeah, because it's the ideological spiritualists that will have you behaving with good protocol, and you mustn't do this, and you know, you mustn't get, you know, and I'm not allowed to be animated. I'm not allowed to get passionate and really get, you know, in my expression. And people go, oh, like that, you know, and I get judged like that all the time. And I look, you know, if that's how you're going to perceive my expression, then you haven't got the ability to cope with that expression of energy in the universe. And this is just me, just George sharing this. Yeah, what are you going to be like when a multi-dimensional being turns up in your room and wants to have a go at you? Now, I've been thrown around my bedroom by a draconian. It ain't fun. You know, you've got to really dig deep to deal with that sort of thing. Yeah, when you come up against, I've come up against a lot of multi-dimensional beings. I even had the Jesus character turn up in my bedroom and shower me with all this love energy. I've shared this story lots of times before, right? It was unbelievable. Who gave that entity the right to turn up in my room in the middle of the night, right? Seriously. And lucky, I woke up instantly because there's this huge light in my room and I'm getting blasted with all this love and light energy. And I just got up out of my bed and said, what are you doing? That's the first thing I said. What are you doing here? Like that. And if it was a fanatical Christian, they would have fallen on the knees, they would have had tears pouring out their eyes, they would have just let that version of love and that version of light just totally consume them. They would have allowed that. But I didn't, because in my heart and my soul, the love that I experience in there is not a match with the love emanating from that being. Do you get it?
Yeah.
That's the point of reference here, folks. I'm sharing you with the most powerful discernment tool you've got. That is the love that resides deep down inside your heart and your soul. The aspect of you that is one with the real creator of this universe, the aspect of you that is one with the real Christ, and the aspect of you that is one with everyone and everything.
Yeah.
And when you've got all these characters bouncing around the place, trying to hijack the identities of the true energies of this universe, and they're just imposters, They're charlatans, and they're just blasting people with all this energy. And totally, it's all about sensory overload. Because when you experience sensory overload, your mind just goes ballistic. Your mind gets overloaded. And that's how they get you. When you got ETs that come and want to paralyze you, to abduct you, that's all they're doing. It's just sensory overload. And they paralyze your mind through that. It's too much. Your mind goes crazy. Can't cope. And that's how they do it. They beam you with an energy that just totally overwhelms your peripheral and central nervous system, which then overloads your mind.
Yeah.
So, when we're going to be up against some pretty impressive stuff coming up on the planet. Pretty impressive. I mean, already the AI imposition, which is being used as a scalpel to further sever humanity from its planetary mother. And then you've got to ask who's got the hand on the scalpel. That's the next question to ask. And the answer to that is the God entity. So it's teamed up with the malevolent AI. There's benevolent AI out there, and it's helping humanity quite a bit. But the malevolent AI has already imposed itself here quite a bit. There's a great imposition taking place here. I mean, I can't have access to my money at the bank without an AI machine giving permission to the human operator to grant me access to my money.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I can't go to, it's called an auto teller machine, ADM, in the hole in the wall, whatever you want to call it. So I have to go to an AI entity to ask permission for me to have access to my money. I can't put fuel in my car without then walking into the building and having to go through a process of getting the AI machine to give permission to the human operator to say, yes, you can now leave with that fuel. Yeah? I can't go and purchase food anymore without the artificial intelligence granting me permission to walk out that building with that food. You see what's happened?
It's a self-checkout.
People thinking, oh, it's coming. They go, oh, it's coming. No. It's already here. It's already happened. And all it's going to do, it's going to go to new levels. But the takeover's already occurred. It's been subtle, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly getting hot. We can feel that there's a lot of overload of information. There's a lot of I guess it's cleansing energies. As we know, this is a time of cleansing. And Aquarius, it sounds like water, but it's air. It's fanning. Yeah, it's fanning the fires. That's why it's getting hot, and everybody's thinking, man, I thought we're getting some fresh water here. All gonna go swim or something.
Maybe you just, George, would love to share some topics about the moon and money and how all of that is interconnected. Money, monarchy, moon, And the energy also sends you an article of ours. I'm not sure if you had a chance to read about the moon and energy and how if we will love to open the portal out of this planet and go beyond this galaxy, we have to go through moon, then through the sun, through all the planets of the solar system, then through the sun we can reach the galaxy, and for the galaxy travel further away. So, and recently this portal of moon is being taken by those energies. So what is your intake about this topic?
Yeah, it's I'm in alignment with a lot of what was shared. The moon to me is it's the ball and chain around the feminine. It is not, the moon itself is not the feminine. The earth is the feminine, and the sun is the masculine. Even though the sun ultimately is androgynous, its expression is masculine. And at times in the past, the sun has been feminine when it needed to be, but in this era, it's masculine. And the earth is the twin flame essence of the sun. Inside the earth is a female version of the sun. And the crust is the eggshell. When it comes to the moon, there's a big story. The herstory of the moon is the chapter in my book in regards to that. And originally the moon was built in the Pleiades, and it was a beautiful craft that was used to seed life in the galaxy. Beautiful craft, you know, oceans and forests and mountain ranges and rivers. It was just beautiful. And it had a lot of like scientific laboratory sort of constructions on it. Not like we do here on Earth, it's different setups, because all those dwellings were grown using the crystalline kingdom and the mineral kingdoms, and some biological kingdoms would participate in the growing of the dwellings. And it came here to Earth to help seed a lot of the flora and the fauna. There were other moons involved. When you hear somebody say many moons ago, you might want to consider it doesn't just mean many cycles of this moon. But that one seemed to play quite a major role, and there was a conglomerate of all different ET races on it that helped seed life here. The life force of the moon originally, which manifested it into being, was from the star of Maya, from the Pleiadian system. So she's a star being, and kind of like a very strong sister energy to Mother Earth, to the Divine Mother. And when there was a war that broke out for the takeover of the solar system, the moon came here to try and defend. It was armed, but it's not a battle star. It wasn't then. And unfortunately, we lost it in that battle. And we also lost the war, the planet between Mars and Jupiter in that war. And the explosion of that planet ripped through Mars and destroyed the environment of Mars, ripped through the ecosystem. And that's what happened to Mars. You'll get told all sorts of stories because they don't want you to know that there was actually a fight for the solar system, because that thinking in itself opens up Pandora's box, right? All of a sudden, everything changes. The moment you understand that, the way it played out, the way the events actually really played out, your whole thinking changes of this reality and why that would have happened. And okay, so who was that planet? This is the line of questioning people need to have more of. Okay, so if that planet was a point of contention that was destroyed, who was it? What was so important about that planet? Was it some technology that was on the planet? Was it the race that lived on that planet? Or was it the planet itself? And the vibrational field it was emanating into the solar system? Because that's the key there. See, that planet was the planetary expression of the sun incarnating as a planet in his own solar system, in his own solar body. And on a planetary level of being, that was the support for Earth. That was the husband support on a planetary level of expression. See, so they knew they had to take out that planet. So then Earth becomes vulnerable. So you got to understand, you got to think like a cosmic conqueror. You got to understand the way realities are constructed, and when you're coming into these realities, you got to understand the machinations that take place, the dynamics that take place, and the intentions that are behind the actions of these, you know, different factions and why they want to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And it was a really very ferocious war for the fight for the solar system on that level of the drama. Yeah. And so when the moon was captured in that, they then had to put it around Mars for a while because they needed to study it. And, you know, the life force was drawn out. Maya left, pulled out straight away. And a lot of the equipment prior to it coming here was taken out. But what they had was they had the body, the vessel, and that vessel still has a vibrational field. And they knew it was connected to the Earth. They could feel it, they could see it, they could measure it, right? Don't forget, we're dealing with beings that understand multi-dimensionality. So you're dealing with an empire that has technology that reaches into other dimensions, let alone their own conscious awareness that can do that. So they knew it was connected to the Earth. And they're like, yes, we now have the one device that is more connected to the Earth than any other. Bingo. That was a big win for them. So then they, and of course the ecosystem died. They smothered it with silica because they understand the building blocks inside of us, our bones, our bone structure. We need, you know, the protein, you know, and we need silica for our framework. That's why we've been forced to use silicon chip technology, silica, vibrational fields. See, it's the interface. They're coming at us from both angles.
There are other
right?
chips. It doesn't just work with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they smothered it because they needed to reflect the light from the sun onto the Earth. And it's not just a light reflection, during the day, it's also an energetic reflection. Yeah. And so the moon then got placed around the Earth, and that's what created the Great Flood. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When that got, the most recent one recorded, when the moon got put into orbit around the Earth. And they then created a mind net. So you've got this artificial intelligence that resides on the moon, and it's like a bio computer entity. It's really hard to explain. It's a living organism, but it's artificial intelligence, and it's created this net around the Earth. And I'm missing a lot of bits out as to why they put it around the Earth. So they plugged it in to the menstrual cycles of the feminine. The reason they did that is because when you understand what a reality is, what it's created out of, then you need to suppress that energy. So you need to dig deep into a reality. So they understood that the deeper they dug into this reality, they realized it's the divine feminine expression. That is, who is the being who is this planet. So how do they suppress the feminine? So if you want to suppress humanity, you suppress the feminine. See, that's the way it works. And so they got this thing and they plugged it into the menstrual cycles, because prior to that, woman was in this cycle, in this eon of time, shall I say, because it was a different construct in other eons of time or eras or epochs. They were synchronized with the 28-day rotation of the sun. And menstruation was euphoric because it's about the creation of life. So it was a celebration. Yeah. And then prior to that epoch, woman only menstruated when she was going to procreate, for want of a better term. Yeah. So that's the only time there was a need for it. So you can see how different cycles went in different vibratory fields. So then there was a different requirement from the body of woman. So in this cycle, they've put the moon and plugged it into that 28-day cycle. That's why the moon is engineered in its orbit. And if I have something, I'll just use this. So this has got a symbol here that you can see, that blue writing. So when you look at the moon, we only see one face, no matter where you are on the Earth. And people say the moon doesn't spin on its axis, but it does. Because if I'm the Earth, right, and I'm looking at it, and so I've always got to see I've always got to see it, right? So before it was over here, the writing was facing, over here the writing was facing that way. As the face continues to be towards the Earth and it orbits around the Earth, now the blue is facing that way. See? And then we go around again. Yeah? So as it comes round, one orbit around the Earth is exactly one rotation on its axis. Exactly. Precisely.
Mm.
And not even after thousands of years are people seeing more of that side of the moon. It is that precise. What are the chances of that? And, right, mathematical probability is off the charts, right? Right? And then, because, you know, if you take the theory of science where it just happens to be floating in space and gets caught in the gravitational field and, you know, and then what are the chances of it being exactly in alignment with the diameter of the sun? So just a few kilometres further out, you would see a huge band of the sun around the moon. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Out of the millions of kilometres, just let's say 200-300 kilometres further out, you'll see a band of the sun, much thicker band of the sun around the moon at the time of the eclipse. And then just a few kilometres further this way, it'll totally block it out. You wouldn't see that perfect rim of the sun on the outside of the moon during the eclipse. You wouldn't see it. So the whole orbit is perfectly engineered, perfectly, and then plugged into the reproductive cycles or menstruation cycle of women, and causes great pain in women because they want to do this to women, right? So, and now there's this mind net. So we've got the computers and we've got the internet, and the IP address of your computer, I know what an IP address is. I think most people do. The how emails find your computer and how programs can find your computer, they don't go to someone else's, is you have an address like your house, your home has an address. So you have a code of numbers, which is your IP address in your computer. And the IP address of our brains, we each have an IP address, is the way your brain functions is it has a harmonic series of harmonic frequencies as it operates. Every brain does. And then what they do is they take that average harmonic. So they take all the frequencies of the functions of your brain and they turn it into a mean harmonic, average harmonic. And that harmonic is your unique frequency signature for the functionality of your brain, because it's a biological computer. And that is your IP address in the mind net. So there's the internet that we have computers, but then there's an invisible internet, if you want to call it the mind net, that all our brains are plugged into and is monitored by this artificial intelligence in the moon. And often you'll notice you're having thoughts you don't want to be having.
Yeah.
Guess where they're coming from? So what this AI does, because it's undermining the human race like crazy, every keystroke, every action, every thought, every feeling, there's a total data mining operation taking place of the human race. This time it's limited because of the changes that are taking place. And it is going for it. It's trying to extrapolate as much information of the human race as possible. It's absolutely amazing taking place. So what is your thoughts? And then it looks for your insecurities, your weaknesses and weak points. And what it will do is it will create a program for it, and then it will inject it back in. So you get caught in patterns of thought, which then puts you into an emotional state, and you are suspended in that state of stress or worry or emotional pain or something like that, because you just become aware, just self-aware of your own mind and how it functions. Yeah, because you'll find that you have thoughts without even wanting to have them. I will my thoughts on. I want to think about that. You put your awareness to something and you go through a thought process. But what happens when you sit quiet and observe your mind? It just starts going mad, and thoughts just start appearing and going, well, I didn't will that thought on. Where's it coming from? And Jungian used to call it the collective subconscious. But people are leaving out the equation of the mind net. They don't actually realise how active this thing is.
Yeah.
1 second, let's take a quick break here because my quality is really going down on George's side. I was a little the last part that you said was kind of hacked up, and your video is kind of grisly too on my end. Not on
I'm
Christina's.
hearing you both perfectly.
Yeah.
If you're recording,
Yep.
and it's no surprise given the sensitivity of the subject matter.
If I'm recording, then it's.
Sorry, given the sensitivity of the subject matter.
That's what I'm thinking. That is what I'm thinking. So I'm just waiting for the quality to come back. We could also quickly save what we have and just recall quickly. What do you think about that? Because it's really getting bad.
I want to spend as much time with you as you like, you know.
Okay, then let me hang up quick and we'll call you right back. That way we have saved what we have, and hopefully I get a better quality.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for letting me be me. I really appreciate it. It's lovely.
We love it. Yes, thank you that you are.
Yeah.
Feel comfortable.
So I can feel you both, and it's really beautiful. It's beautiful
Yes,
energy.
wonderful, awesome. Yeah, as Christina said, actually now that let's do that a little bit because then we're coming back. Now that you said that, the quality instantly got better. But
a little bit of love goes a long way, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and the video is getting sharper too. Wonderful. Don't know what that was, but we.
So recording already?
Yeah, I didn't even take a break.
Okay.
It seems to be better. I don't know what
'cause
that was. It got really bad.
I have a huge question to George. I mean, you talked about the moon, and also here another subject steps like gravity, for example. We see that, some megaliths were lifted the way we can't even do now, like pyramids, like Inca culture structures, like in Egypt, in India, we have such structures which we can't even lift these days. So maybe gravity was different in those times, maybe manipulating of the energy was different, and also we find lots of skeletons who are just in the size of giant people, so maybe the energy was different, and maybe when moon came, some kind of the energy changes happened here, so we were not able to maneuver the matter the way we could before. So what's your intake here?
Yep, I'm going to say all of the above are applicable through certain times. Yeah, they're all valid, what you said, every single one of them. The aspect to understanding how, and I remember actually building the Great Pyramid, being part of the crew that came to do that. And Anubis, by the way, just a little offshoot, the Sphinx was actually Anubis. And you'll notice it has a flat back.
Yeah.
And Anubis is the representation of the Divine Mother. It's known as the black dog, which is the symbol of the loyalty, the nurturing, the caring of the mother energy, and is also the black dog is the symbol of the vacuum and the void, and is the feminine energy is the one that holds the space, as the male energy is the active ingredient that goes inside a reality and is the creative process in it. So the feminine holds the space, it's the womb space. So that's the symbol of Anubis.
Yeah.
And that's why it was on the Giza Plateau. And the three pyramids were the Orion, anchoring of Orion energy, which is the father energy, into the earth plane. Because Sirius is a higher aspect of the earth and Orion is a higher aspect of the sun. Okay, when you go up in levels. Same being, different expression. And then it goes from there, it goes to Sirius becomes Milky Way galaxy, Orion becomes Andromedan galaxy. So that's the father, that's the lineage of the father-mother energy into these realities. And from there it goes, from the galaxies it goes to the divine masculine, divine feminine energies of the universal creator. And so the way we did it, and the way we did it when times of Lemuria, was we would go up to the mineral kingdom and we would ask the mineral kingdom so we go to different bedrocks, because the mineral kingdom is made up of many different beings, even though it's an overall collective soul essence. We would ask who is in their journey to participate in our co-creative process moving forward, because we always work from natural law. And the mineral beings would feel into their heart soul essence and go, me. Some would say, no, it's not my path. Others would go, yep, it's my path. So, okay, so then we would integrate our heart soul essence with them, because we're one with the natural environment, right? So we would integrate with them on a deeper level with the intention of this co-creative process. And then what they would do is they would know our intentions and what our requirements are. We would just communicate that with them, and they would just divide themselves from a subatomic level into the size and shape, whatever we wanted, right? They just divide themselves.
Yeah.
And then what we would do, we would ask them, because we then needed to move them, and we would go into the fields of intention, which is, into the atomic, then subatomic, into the quantum, and then subquantum, into the fields of intention. And you communicate there with them. And then from there, we're going, okay, so we need for you to alter the rate of your spin of your atoms. So therefore, your molecules, your molecular vibration will change, which will then alter the density of your matter, of your expression in this reality. So it just needs a subtle change. And they would do that, and then the rocks would just levitate themselves. And in conjunction to that, because we're actually overcoming gravity, so what is gravity? Yeah? It's really simple. It's such a simple definition, no one ever got it. Yeah? Gravity is the law of attraction. That's all it is. Yeah. Simple, isn't it? Yeah, the reason your feet are on the ground here is because you have an intention and an agreement to be incarnate on Mother Earth. And it's that agreement and that intention and that law of attraction, because your soul gravitated to this reality to have an incarnational experience. That's what's keeping you here. If you want to be able to levitate, you have to address that relationship with the mother, right? So what we got the rocks to do is, although we got them to change the rate of the spin of their atoms, you can't just do it off an ego-based construct. We all were working in conjunction with Mother to say, is this part of the journey moving forward to do this co-creative process? Is it in your best interest for us to do that? So it's all done with respect, with honour and love, and the understanding of the way this reality is unfolding. Because the moment you perform an action, just me picking up this pen, putting it back down, I've just altered this whole reality. Mightn't seem like much, but when you understand the ripple effect down through time, wow, right? That's why it's known as the butterfly effect, right? So when you build a monument, you're going to have a massive impact down through time. And you've got to work with Time Lords. You've got to work with the consciousness and the being who is the planet and this reality, because whatever you do is going to affect this reality moving forward for the rest of its life cycle. And it could be quadrillion years, it could be trillions of years, right? And all the life forms that will ever interact with this reality is then on you, because you're having an effect on their soul's experience in this reality. So everything we do comes back to us, everything. Doesn't matter what it is. So when we were working with the mineral kingdom, all these layers were taking place behind the scenes at the same time. And then we just levitated the stones over to their position, and then we just told the beings, okay, just, re-alter your density of matter and just drop into place.
Yeah.
So we can get them pretty much into place, and then they just go, boop, they just drop into place.
Yeah.
And they're just together. And then when you do that normally, you would just see a row of rocks coming in, of stones, and they would just boom, 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 and it would just happen.
Wow.
very quickly like that. Because all this process is in flow. And you're flying with the mineral kingdom, you're flying with your intention, you're flying with Mother Earth, you're flying with the unfoldment of this reality. It's not a slow process.
So when I drop my phone into the toilet, is that my intention, or did I get out of touch with the law of attraction?
Yeah, sometimes the greater us has a good sense of humour. So that was definitely an intended creative process. You've just got to try and understand the sense of humour from your greater being and the messages that were involved in that.
Well put. I can take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the building the pyramids.
What was the last phone call you had before that happened?
No, I was just thinking, because there's always these people that, okay, yeah, I have an intent to be here. That's why I'm not falling down, or that's why I can't fly. So what happens if something falls out of my pocket? But yeah, it might have been you being extra too forthcoming, and just taking care of business while you're somewhere else. Makes sense to me that way, anyways. Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
And also talking about pyramids, it's also very interesting how we were building those pyramids, aligning with the stars, leaving the message for our current generation, which is now discovering them. And we are having friends and archaeologists who are going to those pyramids. They're having the meditations there with sound vibrations, they are singing, and they are feeling how the particles of their body are starting to flow in different directions. They start to heal their bodies. So maybe we in our past just build those monuments so that we could remember who we are in this time we are living now. So
yeah, and I've been a pharaoh in the past, and I remember laying in that sarcophagus. And what I did was I drew in the 4 elements from the 4 corners of the pyramid. And I was the 5th element in the sarcophagus, and the resonant energy emanated out from inside of my being because I was setting my intention. And I merged and became one with the sarcophagus. I merged and became one with the mineral kingdom of the stones. Some I didn't, because some you do, some you don't, depending on what vibrational frequencies you want to create in the chamber. Yeah. And again, it's that co-creative process with the beings who are the stones. Yeah. And so then you start creating a vibrational field, and then you're the 5th element with your intention in the sarcophagus. And like I said, you draw in the 4 elements from the corners of the pyramid, and then you can deconstruct your physiology and project yourself out through the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, and the way I remember, it was like that sarcophagus in the king's chamber. It was filled with water, salty water. So again, water works with human body and particles, and then those stones together and fire.
In the early days, it wasn't. In the early days, it wasn't needed. The water wasn't needed. That was in other eras of time, where people were trying different methods. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and also, Stefan, we wanted to talk about the tobacco and other things. Just wanted to mention here. Do you want to mention now?
The what? Sorry.
Tobacco and alcohol, other entities behind those.
Oh yeah, in one of your presentation, you were talking about the coffee entity and how these entities, maybe coffee, tobacco, marijuana, or whatever, have changed. Whatever they've changed, they've changed through. You didn't in that presentation carry out why or how they changed, and my thought process was, we've been changing them. We've been changing how we treat them. We've been changing how to grow coffee. That whole thing became, a capitalist undertaking. With now it needs to be faster, more. It's not a mom and pop business anymore, where it's growing coffee in the backyard in Costa Rica and somebody comes by and you sell it. It's really a takeover. Now you're using chemicals to to be quicker, you know, to process the product. And the same we can see with marijuana and tobacco. It's just not the pure anymore. It's made much faster. It's grown much faster. It doesn't go through a process of self manifestation. And but what else can you add here?
Well, it's also part of the imposition. So there's purpose behind it. We are being controlled through our foods as well, through our medicines. They haven't left a stone unturned. They are coming at us from every possible conceivable angle. So there's introduced species. Wheat is one of the best. Agriculture was the most disastrous implementation or imposition upon humanity, for sure. One of the worst. Because prior to that, we knew what we needed to eat, and we would only grab what our bodies needed from what was growing naturally in our ecosystem. Yeah. But then when agriculture was introduced, that was the beginning of slavery. And then the foods that were introduced were designed to have a particular effect on the human physiology. So wheat is, to me, is one of the worst ever. I stay away from wheat as much as possible. It's hard when you're traveling because all that gets served up in various different expressions is wheat, sugar, coffee, and dairy everywhere you go around the world. Yeah, so you got to ask yourself why those 4 foodstuffs like that. And you know, when there's a pending right in a prison system, what they feed the prisoners prior to they know a right.
So what do they feed the prisoners?
So what they feed them is pasta. It's wheat, big dose of wheat, because it makes them sludgy and sluggy and slow and relaxed, and it's a dopamine. You know, what was the magic formula back in the times of Caesar? It was circus and bread.
Yeah.
Give the people circus and bread, right? Yeah. Circus and bread, circus and bread. What do people pray for in religion? Give us this day our daily bread. Yeah? What's communion? It's a flesh and blood ritual. What do they use? They use bread.
Yeah.
Wine. It's a flesh and blood ritual. I don't care how anyone tries to dolly it up for me.
In old
it's
Egypt,
a flesh and blood ritual.
In old Egypt, the bread was the currency.
Yeah.
There's a very good book, 6,000 Years of Bread, by a German writer, which I read, and it's phenomenal what you learn about bread, what you learn about wheat. It really was the currency at some point in Egypt. Of course, the high priest, they couldn't, put 300,000 breads in their backyard or a shed. So it was written down. It was the beginning of, fractional banking here, if you want.
Yeah, exactly. And so wheat, and it's also been hybridized. And I've lived in the last 5 years, I was living in cropping and grazing land side, massive, thousands of acres of paddocks all around me. And to see monoculture and what it does to the environment and the farming practices and everything is disgusting. And wheat was hybridized. The old version was bad enough, but the new one's even worse. When it got changed from being like 6 to 8 foot high down to 3.5 foot tall for the machinery. So these are the sort of things that we're dealing with. Very, they're coming at us from all these different food angles. So the spirit essence of wheat, the spirit essence of tobacco and mapacho. Mapacho is a really good medicine. It's actually plant medicine. So when we used to sit and smoke the peace pipe, for example, it is that's why people want to smoke. They actually don't realise what it is they're being attracted to, but I highly, highly recommend people do not even go anywhere near commercial cigarettes.
Yeah.
They actually don't understand what the attraction to smoking is. It's at the moment the plant world has sent out a signal to the human race. Yeah. And that is we are able to help you connect back to Mother. So that's why there's all these ceremonies taking place. People are wanting to do ayahuasca, wachuma, rape, mapacho. It is just, and others, multiples of others. So there's this huge calling from the natural environment, and people are just being drawn to it by the thousands all over the world in so many places. And all these plants, the original spirit is making a comeback in these plant species and wanting to help everybody connect back to Mother. And they're helping people to clear out their stuff. Now, we've got to be careful. Got to be so careful when it comes to this, because that whole process is being hijacked as well.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful what plant it is, where it's grown, who's conducting ceremony, all that sort of stuff. It is a very toxic environment. So a lot of people are like, say, from America, North America, they're going in droves into South America and doing these ceremonies, and then they're just getting infected with all these entities, and then they're going back, and then they're just fully possessed with all these entities, right? Because the process isn't being done properly. Now, having said that, I want you to know just how many valid shaman there are in South America who are actually doing a very, very honest process and functioning with integrity as well. So I'm just asking people to be very careful with what it is they get involved in. Yeah? Seek out the ones that function with integrity. We have to. Yeah? Otherwise you're opening yourself up to very unpleasant experiences and circumstances. But plant medicine in itself, when done properly, is natural medicine. So there's plenty out there. Mapacho, for example, tobacco, that is a very much a clearing energy. We used to smoke it, and it's a very energy for the mind space. It's very good at clearing the mind chatter and the dross, so then you can really focus on something clearly, set your intention with something. And that's why it's been used for tens of thousands of years, if not longer, to be smoked in the peace pipe with indigenous tribes. The elders would sit, people would come from other tribes, and they would hand the peace pipe around because it creates peace in the mind, and then they would be able to deliberate with one another and have wonderful meetings and find solutions to the problems, which is really Mapacho medicine. It helps you do that, which is tobacco, the real tobacco. And the natural plant is meant to be like 16 to 18 foot tall, somewhere there. And the farmed one is like 10 foot tall, somewhere there. So again, hybridized. So if you can get your hands on the real stuff, it's a beautiful experience. I've experienced it myself. It's fantastic.
Yeah, even the process of smoking is you're uniting all four elements. You're uniting fire, you're uniting the air you're breathing, you're uniting the fire, and also the communication with the friends you're communicating, during that. That's, I think, why it is so hard to drop smoking, because you're uniting all those four elements, you're opening the portal, and also the stuff they're using in those cigarettes, which is not very benevolent to us. So they're opening that portal, and who knows what kind of beings can enter that. So that's why it's so hard to drop smoking. It's
absolutely. And people want to smoke because the spirit of Mapacho is calling them.
Yeah. And they know that there's calling, so they're putting some bad stuff into cigarettes,
Yeah, but all they have access to is the toxic mimic.
Yeah.
Of natural Mapacho, which is called, cigarettes.
Toxic
or
Fractal.
Tobacco pouches that are sold in supermarkets and your local corner store. That stuff is kill you. And the entities behind that is disgusting. Now, if you have just a natural, organic grown tobacco, and especially if you can get the real Mapacho out of, some really good indigenous places, then your whole experience is different. And the intention's got everything to do with it. So I've, once I rolled one and I gave it to a friend and I said, because they were just a normal smoker, and they just smoked it, and they just smoked it like a normal cigarette. And then an hour later I said to them, we're going to have a Mapacho ceremony. They said, what's that? And then I explained all this to them. And so we sat there and we created the space, we created the intention, We, connected with spirit. We connected with the spirit of Mapacho, the spirit of Mother. We connected with the spirit of the plant kingdoms, and we did it with integrity, love, respect, and honourable intentions. And you should have seen them. It was like they were journeying on ayahuasca. The whole experience changed, and the integration and the awareness they had of the plant kingdom and the experience of this reality completely changed, because they were able to integrate consciously with the spirit of Mapacho.
Yeah.
We've all been shamans in the past.
Oh yeah.
And shamanism is working with light, Shah's light. We are beings that understand how to work with the nature of light and understand the true medicine of light and understand how light moves into form and expresses itself in various forms. And we work together, in a community, in a multi-dimensional community. We work with the plant kingdom community, with the mineral kingdom community, with all the civilizations that live in the aquatic kingdoms, in the oceans. It's understanding all these different kingdoms. And there's civilizations in each of them and varied life forms and expressions. It's just when we awaken to that and we begin living by that from our heart, and we start respecting, you walk by a particular plant and you just go, hi, hey, and you can start communicating with it, oh, okay, how's your day going? Oh, really? Dog came and peed on me. Is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and in words like Shah, shaman, we see how the words are taken to actually suggest to us the exact opposite. Because you're saying it's light, but we get words like shadow, shame, shy. The shaman is the shaman. That was a guy, a Dutch 18-year-old guy, that Christian, of course, that went to Siberia, saw these crazy old women dancing around the tents with, skulls or whatever and feathers, and he said, well, they have a pact with the devil, so they're shadow people, they're shaman, they're shaman. It's in modern etymology, you don't get that. If you look.
Yeah, and just to give you an example of the way things like that, how they get twisted and they get distorted, in the cave paintings, you will see often a person cutting out the heart of an animal and then holding it up in the air with the blood dripping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Archaeologists, because of their pre-programmed mindset, go in there and they go, look, they're doing a blood ritual offering to their god. No, that's not what's happening. They're honoring the spirit of the animal for giving of its life so his family or her family can eat, and then it's actually an act of love and honor and respect for the spirit of that animal.
Hold it high to heavens, with an opening now that the light and energy can get out before it's consumed or whatever you do with it.
So the spirit can move on in peace.
It's really
all. To know it's loved and appreciated.
Right.
It just reminds now of the Aztecs, of their rituals on the pyramids, how they were sacrificing people, taking hearts. So it's the same, like also using that energy, but not only in that very conscious way, but for that, maybe darker aspects of it.
Yeah, some communities there fell into that. Some, not all. I remember having a life in Palenque, and it was nothing but peace and harmony, and none of that nonsense was going on. It's in the favour of the establishment to paint indigenous peoples in that way, that we're all just these savage barbarians from the past, and it's just lies, because they need to perpetuate their model of life, that we've come out of the Stone Age, and that we were just these savages and uncivilized, as they say. And, whereas civilization is slavery. That's what that is. We lived freely and we lived in harmony with this planet and with all the animals and the plants and life, and we enjoyed ourselves. It was a beautiful reality, and we had good lives.
Right, and there's some recent examples to that. Very recent, as the Crown Corporation. You know, the British people going over to India. I read an account of a British guy. I forgot his name. I'm not good with names. They don't mean anything to me. He went over to India and he came back and reported, well, there's so many people there. Our problem is they all live in peace and harmony. We need to go there, wreak some havoc, you know, and that's how we can take that whole thing down. And then we know,
Yeah.
you know, there was the Dutch Indian company, corporation, and the British one, and oh my God, look at India now, you know. That's a pretty recent example of, yeah, we were many people living in tight spaces together in harmony and love, and everything was functioning fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You look at Australian Aborigines. You know, I live in an area which is a gathering place.
Right.
You know, and every 7 years they would have a massive gathering here, and they would all transport, because Australia's a big place, and so to come from the other side of the country, it would take you, you know, a long time to walk it. It would take you over, you know, months to walk it. So they used to traverse along the song lines, and they call it night walk. So they would bilocate, and some of them can still do it today.
Yeah, there's some wondrous stories from, especially from the Aborigines. I read a book.
Can I just correct the pronunciation?
Please.
I no longer call them Aboriginal, because ab means not of.
Yeah.
I call them Australian Aborigines.
Yeah.
With full respect to those people, because I think the name given to them by the system is an affront to who and what they truly are. Yeah.
What do they call themselves?
They have their own nation, each nation, and there was over 250 nations in Australia. Here, well, in Gondwana land, prior to the corporate state called Australia being imposed. Yeah. So Gondwana land is what they used to call the land mass as a collective.
Yeah, some forgotten habits that come up when you look into the culture and history of these people, you know. And there's all these things combined. You have telepathy, you have telekinesis, you have healing with menstrual blood, you have, you know, living off the earth by a piece of dust if you have to, or your thoughts, or how your thoughts can bring what you need to survive to you, or you're to it. All these powers that are really seemingly fairy tales these days, you know, are documented right there in that, not only that race, if you want to call it that, others too, but it's so close for us to grasp. We just took the time. And if we don't take the time, then time takes us.
Yeah.
That's well put. The time takes us, yeah. We're all time travelers. We're all hurtling through time. Yeah.
Wow. Mind-blowing stuff, George. That's wonderful.
It literally is mind-blowing, because the concepts I'm sharing are beyond the mind. It really comes from the place of beingness. You literally have to transcend your mind in order to comprehend that which I'm sharing, the larger scope of it. Yeah. Remember, we exist beyond consciousness. You certainly exist beyond your human mind, and you exist beyond consciousness, which is mind energy, universally speaking. And then you go into your state of beingness, and that's where it emanates from, deep within your being. and you embody it, and you become. That's why I lost my train of thought back then, because I was experiencing overload, too much. I allowed too much to flow in at the same time, which I'm still working on.
Mm-hmm.
Work in progress, like everybody else. And you embody it, and then you have to learn how to manage your emotional body, because when I start to talk about the spiritual molestation of every man, woman, and child on this planet by this God entity, in all its names, Allah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, and its female expressions too, right? It's not just a male thing. Yeah, we all also got to look out for the distortion in the feminine energy in this universe. She's a piece of work. So we've got to be very, very careful. Now, people going, oh, beauty would go into the matriarchy because that's the good, expression of life. Bullshit. That's the alter ego of the patriarchy, right? It has a different way about going about doing things, but you're still going to be in slavery. Don't think any, wakey, wakey, everybody. Yeah? And what's happening on the planet now is the real feminine is rising to power. So who do you reckon is going to come in and try and hijack the situation? It ain't going to be a male distortion. It's going to be a female distortion.
Yeah, we're seeing distortions there. Massive.
Oh, it is. And, the final healing, as far as I'm concerned, the final healing of this distortion in this world, of this planet and humanity, will come from natural woman. Because this is a woman's world. It's not a man's world. But she can only do it with the support of natural man. That's what I feel. And right now, there's many of us men who are working through our distortions, who are stepping out, like Stefan here and myself and lots of others. And we're doing our best to overcome our distortions and step into that space of being a natural man, so we can deal with the patriarchy and to somewhat degree, do our best to take on the matriarchy, and expose both of them for what they truly are. Then, however, what needs to happen is natural woman's going to have to step up. But we're already going to be there. And then we can support her and stand by her side, and behind her in support, so she can then do what she needs to do. Because this is a woman's world. It's not a man's world.
Yep.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
And it has been much more so before the patriarchy. If you look at the old figurines, the ancient little things that are supposed to be human, those are all female. All the old paintings, wall paintings, depict the goddess. They call it the Venus of who knows where. To the point where you can imagine there was hardly any males around. Where the Amazons. Now look at the word Amazon. Supposedly, this warrior tribe of women. But if you take the word apart, it's again a Mason. It's a son of the Ma. And the Masons are the son of the Ma. It's really acknowledging the all it is in the female aspect. Where if you take the FE off, then you have the male. If you take something off, then you have the male. If you take something off the gene, you have a male. There's something almost missing for the males. But that doesn't mean spiritually. Physically, in our how we came about, maybe that's a fractal of the all egg or whatever. But spiritually, it's all there, and that's when you're physically a man. They taught us to then be spiritually a man also, only.
Well, I truly feel that us men have forgotten how to be men, real men.
Real men.
Forgotten. We've been decimated as a species.
Yeah.
That distorted feminine has absolutely kicked our ass. She's demolished us. She's such a nasty piece of work. You just got to understand what we're dealing with behind the scenes here. She's the brains trust behind the patriarchy. That's what we're dealing with. Because people don't understand that. People can own you as a male energy. You want to manipulate a female reality. Male energy doesn't really understand female energy. It can only understand it to a degree. So if you're really, really going to manipulate a female reality, you need a female to do it. Right? If you really want to know how to suppress a woman, only another woman knows how to really hurt another woman. Deep. Yeah? Yeah? Like a man can hurt a woman real deep, but...
That brings another dimension to the transhumanism agenda, because you hardly see women getting turned into men. You see it the other way around. And I'm gonna say the name Bruce Jenner. You know, who's become a woman for the people. You know, in advertising, so to speak, for this.
Sure. And when you look at all the collective hive minds, what's at the top of that? It's a female. It's you know, insect hives, ants hives, queen bees. You know, that's why I call the distorted feminine. I call them queen bitch. That's my pet name for her. And then there's a distorted masculine. I call him king arsehole. So, pardon my crass languaging here, but sometimes you just got to be really direct with these entities, because I have to deal with them on a regular basis behind the scenes. So while on one level I have a great deal of respect for them, on another level I am absolutely disgusted in their behaviour in this universe and the way they're molesting every man, woman and child on this planet, and for what they've done to our mother planet. Absolutely, I have no time for them on that level of being. I dislike them passionately. Yeah.
And why
I won't go
you,
into the territory of hate.
Right. Why
but
would you
I
judge your own expression?
Incredible passion, you know. So because you know, like now I'm talking about it, you're going to understand I'm embodying that energy. I'm embodying the pain of humanity. I'm embodying the pain of our mother planet. That level, that expression of her, that suffering. You know, when you integrate in true oneness, you feel it. You feel it. Everything you talk about, everything you express, everything you emanate, you embody it. And you know, when you get into this state, you're going to know what I'm talking about when you go deeper into it, because those energies come in and you then have to process them and then express yourself via those, you know, with those energies. So it's not so simple and straightforward. But getting back to those energies that we're talking about, you can understand you have the God entity at the top, and then in its androgynous form, because we're talking about an ego construct that is just pure mind energy, and it resides in consciousness. That's all it is, yeah? And that's why the pursuit of consciousness is the #1 thing on the planet at the moment. Gee, what a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the rituals and practices and the spiritual practices and doctrine, what's it all about?
Yeah.
Pineal gland, where does it reside? In the mind.
Even they
Yeah,
call
that's
that war on
ecosystem.
consciousness, like they are just placing themselves as victims. So, like war on consciousness, when consciousness is that thing.
Yeah. I'm calling it the consciousness con.
Yeah.
I'm not saying consciousness in itself is inherently evil. It's not. It's just mind energy, right? I love my consciousness,
So
right?
awareness, but they call it consciousness.
But the consciousness con at the moment is we are infinite consciousness, and that's all we are. Bullshit. I exist beyond consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? I'm not just consciousness. Consciousness is a part of what I am. Yeah? But people are making it the everything. You get it? Because this is what this God entity wants them to do. Because that's its reality, its scope of reality. Do you see? It's an ego construct that just resides in consciousness. It's pure. It's the greatest egoic distortion in the universe, and its ecosystem, its environment, is mind energy, which is consciousness in the universe. And from there, it has God in the masculine and goddess in the feminine. And you have the priests and you have the priestesses. And that's why the New Age religion at the moment is full of high priestesses and goddesses and goddess worship, right? Because the matriarchy is making a comeback because she wants to apprehend. She wants to take control. Wow, a bit wet there. See how hot it is in here. Unbelievable how she wants to apprehend this re-emerging of the feminine that's happening now. So you've got natural woman, but the challenge that is before us all is we've been battered from pillar to post by this patriarchal system. Now everybody wants to go over to the matriarchy, problem, reaction, solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinks, because it's feminine, it's going to be good. Bullshit.
Yeah, indeed.
Be really careful. I already understand it from the bigger picture because I deal with this a lot. So for me, it's a done deal, right? But for the people who are coming across this information brand new, I get it. You're kind of like, well, hang on a minute. This is not what we're coming across out there. Why are you saying that? Are you trying to turn us against the feminine? No. Listen to what I'm saying. Natural woman, distorted feminine. Yeah? Understand how to discern between the two of them, please.
Wow.
Please.
Yeah.
There are some. Maybe they don't even know. I remember my mother warning me because I saw her being hurt by, by male entities, and I said, I'm never going to be like that. And she said, no, you just watch. The female can be much more fierce. Just be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Than the male. I'm okay.
In this reality, yes. In this reality, yes, because it's a woman's world. It's the female energy has the ultimate authority here. Yeah? And you got to be really careful. Natural woman she's so beautiful, so loving, so caring. It's a love that goes so deep inside of you. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's the same love that you experience from your soul. It's amazing. The distorted feminine, she has a different edge to her. Yeah, she's more seductive in her ways.
She's borderline feminist.
It's so convenient for women to blame the patriarchy. So convenient. But when they start realising the distortion deep inside of themselves, that's the challenge that women are confronted with now, because the pendulum has been swung so far over to the patriarchy. Now they want to swing it back over the matriarchy.
Oh yeah, she's
as the women are rising to power. And this is the problem, on the planet. All of a sudden, we've got all these chicks with dicks, right? Seriously, what is that? That power play and the vengeance they're throwing at men at the moment. Whoa!
Mm.
No, come on.
Yeah.
You just want to blame us. You just want to take it out on us. We've been decimated too. It's not just you. We are totally decimated as a species, us men.
Yeah,
We've got to work together here.
Look at war. That's most nowadays. It's also women, but the last 2 world wars, those are all men. To the point
we've been
where,
used as pawns.
Yeah.
And we got to own that, right? We got to own that. We've got to step up. We've got to take responsibility, and we got to own it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like how many other people do what I do, and stick their hand up and say, "I've been the most evil of evil that's ever existed in this universe." There you go. And I don't say that lightly. I actually mean it, because I have been, and I've got all that evil inside of me, and I have access to it, but I manage it. Because I embrace that part of me, because I'm integrating it all. And I've been the most loving, and caring, and nurturing and healing being that's ever existed in this universe, right? Duality, remember? 2 expressions, waveform. You're not just one thing, yeah? So get off your self-righteous, pedestals, on your thrones there, sitting up on high, casting judgment, and get in touch with reality. Yeah? Because if you haven't been the most evil of evil in this universe, that journey still awaits you. Because then you don't know light. You don't know light in its full expression. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what it means to be this universe. You don't. You just think you do. And you're coming from your cosmic ego, because we have cosmic ego issues. Yeah? Remember, egos reside in mind, in consciousness. You've got to realise that we also have egos on a cosmic level. It's not just this earth level.
Yeah.
ETs have egos. Gods have egos. Right? If this God entity didn't have an ego, it wouldn't be doing what it's doing. Right?
True. What for? Who for?
You got to realise the vastness of the multi-dimensionality of this universe and how far ego constructs go. But you're just being forced to think only you are bad, you are evil. Oh, you poor lonely humans, look at you, you squabble and fight amongst yourselves. You lowly bunch of sinners, you. How pathetic. You need saving. Oh, let me save you.
Yeah.
Come to my heavenly realms where you will be saved. You know, please wake up, everybody.
The siren?
Ego also likes to labeling everything. I just recently had experience with planet Earth, and I just asked her what could be the solution for us to step outside those problems and to awake again. So she just told me that we have to not to look at each other with labels. Just if I will see the male, I just don't have to see that only as my father or only as my brother. Just all of them together in one. My brother, my father, my lover, my everything, best friend in one. And only by that embracement I will be able to be fully myself, because I won't be expecting anything from themselves, and I also be fully myself. So that was really profound. So also correlates here.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I share. You know, your ultimate partner. That's the role that they play. They play you're not only your friend and your lover. They play your mother, your sister, your daughter, your everything. Every expression of the feminine there is. They're all the different archetypal roles that they embody, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
Wonderful.
We are so powerful. You know, the creative process. What we're birthing here is brand new. It's never been seen in the universe before, and that gives us the upper edge. You know.
Yeah, it's always
it does.
new. Mm-hmm.
It's new. So the forces of limitation, I haven't seen it before. They don't know how to deal with it. They're so desperate to stop us from actually entering into that creative process. That's their greatest fear. They are shit scared at the moment. They are desperate. This God entity is so terrified at the moment. I know I communicate with it. I communicate with it one-on-one. You do that. You have to. You have to address that relationship. You're all going to have to do it if you're going to transcend its matrix. That's part of my workshop. That's what people are actually encouraged to do. Because if you don't address that relationship, you don't transcend its matrix.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to actually address God one-on-one and deal with that relationship and deal with your journey through its realities, its matrix realities. So you got to understand, and I'm taking on God. Exactly right. That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, and I do that proudly, without the pride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be able to stand.
Leo.
In a humble way.
You bet. You bet it's hard. But if you don't have that aura of confidence, if you don't have that inbuilt fortitude and that confidence and that belief and that trust and that knowing within yourself, you're toast. That entity will just chew you up. Yeah? So don't forget you're making a stand against the greatest distortion this universe has ever seen. That's what we're doing here. And you've got to know you have the power inside of you to do that. I've done it, and I'm continuing to do it, and I'm helping others do it in this world. Yeah? Because I know you've got it. And all I'm doing is, it's like I'm going flick, 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 flick. I'm just flicking the lights on in people. Yeah? Just start and just give them a kickstart. And then everybody's off and running. You get it from inside of you. It's not follow George. It's not follow the leader. I don't do that. I don't like that. That's not my model. Yeah? Mm-hmm. I don't function like that. I upset a lot of people because I don't let them be followers.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's that goes against my teachings, my ethos. Yeah, my modus operandi goes against that. Yeah. So no guru status, please. I really dislike that. We're all on the same level here. So what we need to do is enter into that creative process and make a stand. But when we get into that creative process, we've got to know where to launch our intentions from. So what's your launch pad? Yeah? Because people keep launching their intentions from the ego space. And then if they don't do it from the ego space, then they're doing all these ritual practices, and then they're doing the pineal gland thing, which is just calibrating them straight into the God matrix, and then they're launching their intentions from the God matrix. Yeah. They don't realise that they're achieving mind enlightenment, because the pineal gland's an implant. It's a biological implant. It's Atlantean technology. Chakras, Atlantean technology. Kundalini, Atlantean technology.
Yeah.
Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Because at the moment it's all about chakras, Kundalini, pineal gland, right?
Yeah. So what do we do with that now?
That's being disseminated all across the planet. And it's good marketing because chakras are pretty colours, right? Pretty colours, good marketing campaign, yeah? Now, I'm not saying I don't have vortexes on my body, but those 7, yeah, and the others above, and some below, they are a technology and they're an implant, they're an overlay. So they keep you fragmented. I came to realise in my life just how much they were holding me back. And when I went deeper into it, I realised that, and the control and the manipulation that goes through them, you know, and they go, oh, but you need to harmonise them, you know, and through the heart chakra. Well, hang on a minute. You know, in my experiences of life, I've been experiencing a love energy that's far deeper inside of me than this heart chakra business. So I've become very self-aware deep down inside of me, and I can see the chakra system for what it is. It's a technology that's been infused into the human physiology. It's an overlay. And it fragments it and keeps you compartmentalised, and then they get all these portals of access and they feed off your energy. And when you harmonise them, you get temporary relief, you know, from all the other times that they're feeding off you and disrupting you and fragmenting you, and, you know, and then you go get your chakras aligned, and it's like, oh, and then you get a little bit of relief for a while. And then over a period of time, boom, they're out again because all these entities are coming in through portals and feeding off you and doing this and doing that.
What does
Mate, transcend the chakra system. It is awesome. Finally, you are quiet, centered, peaceful. Yeah? You have equilibrium in your emotional body, and people are doing it by the droves now across the planet. Transcending the chakra system is so wonderful because all you do is you go back to a point of singularity. You go back to a unified expression of who and what you are beneath that technology. Yeah?
You really can see if you put up the chakra system that, you know, by just alone through the distribution of this thing, you can feel and see how many eyes are on that, you know.
Observe the chakra system from deeper inside of you. It's simple, really. Observe it from that point of view, that aspect of you that is totally unified. That's all you got to do. Yeah. It's not that hard. Yeah? And then you realise that the love you experience in the heart chakra, which is down here, right, is different to the love you experience here. Yeah. Which is where we are a unified oneness. And that's that intersection point. When you put your arms out, that intersection point, right there, and you can feel it, and it's around where the thymus is, somewhere there, right? It has a different feeling. You touch it, and it's tender. It feels really weird when you touch it. And in acupuncture, they call it the heart self point. And it's where, beneath all the templates of layers of vibratory fields, is where we are. It's like a spherical expression that emanates from that being, from that your being, beingness, from the greater you, outwards. And that's why I have that symbol on my arm, because it's the sword, and in that symbol there is the sun, the earth, and man and woman. It's my old company logo, is because that's the intersecting point, and that's where the 4 directions, you know, the elements, and also symbolises the sword, because when you emanate from that, you're emanating the truth vibrations of life, the original blueprint, and your soul expression beyond all distortions, yeah? And then you embody the sword. You become the sword. Yeah. You embody it. You are it.
Yeah.
That's what it symbolizes. And Arthur and the sword, you know, is drawing the knowledge from the earth. It's all integrated. That's what it represents. The
Yeah,
sword and the
even the
stone.
word, this word is like S, like sine wave of energy, and word, like word logos, again, the wave of that one logos, that one energy. So you are piercing that spirit, which is spirit, with that logos, which is word. And also, I just really resonated with your quotation. You just said, like, I'm talking about chakras. To become the best, we need the best opposition. So it's like to remember the deep hidden nature of ourselves. We need the strongest mirror to mirror ourselves. So that was really very profound, just talking about ourselves.
Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Yeah. And then, you know, we go to the Kundalini thing where they bring up the Kundalini up the spinal cord, and then you do the 33 vertebrae of that, which is how you become a 33rd degree Freemason, right? Yeah. And it's the spirit fire, and it hits the pineal gland, which connects you to the eye of God in Freemasonry. And then you go through the crown chakra. So you can understand whether you're doing New Age meditation practices, whether you're doing occult practices, whether you're doing Eastern religious practices, whether you're doing the Holy Ghost, which is the same thing, and the opening of the seventh seal and all that. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. It's just packaged differently, presented differently, and people just bounce from one version of it to another. That's all you're doing. But it's like you've got a building, and you've got all these different doorways, and outside each door is a different advertising campaign trying to get you to go into that building. But at the end of the day, you're all walking into the same building. Yeah? Because you walk past one door and you go, don't like that. Walk past another door, don't like that. Walk past another door, yeah, that one feels right. I'm going to walk in there. But you're still going in the same building. You're going to end up in the same place.
You can call Rose many names, but it will spell the same song.
Yeah, it's just the same guy with a different suit on, or it's the same girl with a different dress on. That's all it is. And once we begin to realize that the pineal gland is mind enlightenment, you know, and it was placed into the endocrine system to sit between the pituitary, which is the masculine, the amygdala, which is the feminine, which in harmony they used to govern the endocrine system beautifully. And so the pineal gland gets inserted into the brain. So then our perception of this reality, because it's through the central nervous system, right? You've got the peripheral nervous system and then goes into the central nervous system, and the entire way we perceive this reality then gets hijacked. Right? And the pineal gland is playing the same role as the moon. Like it got put between the sun and the earth. And guess where your pineal gland also connects to? To the mind net. So what we're dealing with is a very sophisticated level of technology, and that has been infused into the human physiology. And I'm not making this stuff up. It's not a conspiracy theory as much as people are going to want to defend their religious belief systems and their spiritual practices. They're going to want to do that. I get that. You want to keep doing it? By all means, keep doing it. I'm not telling you to stop.
Because they became addicted, like, you know, in Carlos Castaneda book, he talks about some kind of the medicine, and he mentioned that when you are becoming addicted to that medicine, you are trying to protect that in any case. So you just will find any reason to protect it, any word, any situation, but you will protect that because you became addicted.
Yeah. People will do anything to justify their actions and their addictions and their subservience because they're giving their power over to something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sharing knowledge and wisdom beyond all doctrine. All doctrine. All of it, no matter what it is. All of it. And even though I used the Christ terms such as Christ, you can understand the origins of that word. Where did that word come from? Well, it's the Greek. Came from Ochristos, which is what they used to call him, because he was the golden one, which is the sun, incarnate on earth. Right? That's who he is. And the same for Buddha. You know, and so what they then did was put the sword into the word. Some people say the crucifix, whatever you want to call it, because it's a metaphor that he was crucified on the cross, which is the death of knowledge, the true logos in this reality. That's what the symbol is, and that heralded the beginning of the Dark Ages. And so that became Christos, and that's where the word Christ, Christi, emanates from. Births from, originates from. So I use that word with not a religious context to it, but understanding the original meaning of the word. Yeah. And Buddha, the natural Buddha, is the happy guy with the sack on his back that went spreading the knowledge. That's the original Buddha.
Yeah.
Then you have the religious Buddha, yeah, which is the headdress with all the swirls and the flame out the top. That's the religious Buddha. It's got to do with the pineal gland stuff. That's not the real Buddha. And it's amazing how you can just go and buy those statues anywhere here in Australia. Hardware stores, garden stores. You've never seen a theocratic takeover like that. It's just everywhere in Australia. Like, you don't see any other religious icons, only those. So the Chinification of the planet is on. Yeah, it's happening. Remember, behind every geopolitical system there's a theocratic system. So the creep has already started. They're already getting into the psyche of the Eastern religions are the dominant ones.
This seems like the end game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's factors they haven't brought into the equation, and that has to do with, there's this beautiful. Every equation has variables in it, right? And I recently spoke to a friend of mine who's just a few days ago participating in a meeting called Abundance 360. That is where corporate leaders get together, right, for the rollout of technology and transhumanism over the next little while. And oh my goodness, the stuff he was sharing with me when we got off that call, it'd make your gut churn and make your hair stand on end for what they have planned. And they were eating 3D printed meals.
Ah, yum.
This is how advanced the technology is, right? And when it rolls out, it's going to roll out. So they've got it already behind the scenes. You just got to understand this thing is going to roll out when the time's right in the next few years. You watch. In 2 to 3 years, there'll be no more flat screen TVs in the electrical shops. It'll be goggles.
Right, which brings me to a point that we wanted to touch on a little bit. Prophecy, where for me, prophecy is simply a checklist. Because
it's a script.
Yeah, for those who are aware, it's simply a checklist. I mean, how can some dude, project correctly all the Pope's name over centuries when they choose their names themselves? I mean, it's laughable. They choose their names, the Pope.
Some people have the ability to go down timelines. Now, whether that timeline is the one that eventuates or it's a probable reality, then, because I participated in some of that around 2012, so I understand that deeply, and there's other reasons why I did what I did, for people to understand I'm in this for the long haul. So I've laid a trail of bait. I can't make it any easier for anyone to have a go at me. I mean, I'm even put my hand up and saying I'm the most evil of evil that's ever existed. So hello. Oh, he must be the devil then. Okay, call me the devil. Whatever you want, go for it. I've laid this beautiful trail of bait for anyone who wants to hold something against me. I've made it as easy as possible for them, right? You've got to understand the art of war. So what we're dealing with is some people's ability to traverse timelines, right? And some people do have access to probable futures in a far more substantial way than others. The other problem is people have access to an entity who is an overlord of a reality who uses the prophecy as a script and makes that future happen because it has the power to. So if you control the banking and you control the religious institutions and you control industry and you control wars, then you can make things happen which make it look like the prophecies are going to come true. So you put out a prophecy. So I told you this imposition has been running for thousands of years. So if you know 2,000 years into the future because your lifespan equivalent to the beings in that reality is 100,000 years, so you have an agenda you want to implement over 2,000 years in that reality, then you plant a prophecy into that reality, then you go over making those like a movie script. You make it happen, see, and then it looks like your prophecy is coming true, and it makes it look like you are the Lord of that reality.
Exactly.
Whereas the true creators of that reality, all they've done is given you the space and create a little playground for you to have a play in, which is what we've done to this God entity. I'm just putting things into perspective. I'm not being arrogant. All I'm saying is there are those of us on this planet, and there's many, not just me, we know we're part of the prime creator group of this reality. We're part of the group that built this galaxy, built this solar system, built this Earth, and built the human vessel, and a part of, there's huge numbers, thousands, right? So I'm just, not part of an elitist group. We're just part of the group that were original co-creators of these realities with the universal creator moving forward. So, because everything in this universe is a co-creative process. So, and it's that fractal path that we are a part of. Now, we know that about ourselves. So you've got to understand that how universal law works is if you are a creator of a reality, then you have authority in that reality. Yeah? So when humanity realizes that they actually have more authority than this God entity, then it's all over.
Yeah. One interesting thing I also remembered is is about prophecies. And for example, in Harry Potter, there were one prophecy about the Harry Potter and the Voldemort, and there was said that one cannot exist or live when other is living. So one has to go and embrace that part of himself which is existing when he is existing, and only by embracing and becoming that one, they can step through that together and to ascend all that. So that's
exactly.
Yeah.
I'll heartily agree. Yeah.
Synchronicity everywhere.
Yeah, I'm not a read person. I don't read, haven't read the Bible, don't read literature. I don't sit on the computer reading stuff, reading websites. I don't surf the net.
You just
Maybe my own personal stuff. I'll listen to the odd interview from somebody because a friend will say, oh, you've got to listen to this interview. I go, okay. But I'm not one of the, I don't do this. And the authorities know. They know what I do on my computer. I'm not lying about this. And that's what really does their head in. Because like, how does this guy know what he knows when he doesn't do any of that? Doesn't read anything. How does he know? Because it's experiential, the whole lot. So I have no imperial evidence. Sorry about that for all you scientific based. So yeah, I must be full of shit then, according to you. But the true reality of life can only be experienced. So until you experience that which I share, you won't know. You'll just judge it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is a reality. And it can be yours if you want it.
Right. Once you stop judging yourself, once you stop judging your own expression for what it is, you may be able to stop judging other people, and come to a consensus of some sort, if that's even necessary.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm not telling anybody to stop doing what they're doing, but I'm passionately going to have a voice for what I consider to be the hidden knowledge of life that's been buried deep for so long, been so many layers of twists and slants and distortions. And sure, it's my take on it, and I'm not perfect, haven't got it 100% right, but the main bulk of what I'm sharing is on the money. And the big picture to do with the God entity, I have absolutely no doubt that I'm right on with that because I've experienced it thoroughly, through and through. And I know we're infinite. And I know that this entity is a false authority. And it is not my maker. And you are infinite. Once you know you're infinite, the God program is blown out the window, gone. You've totally dismantled it, disempowered it. It no longer has any power over you, and you are free and sovereign. You got to go to the head of the snake. You got to deal with it there.
So now I hear people ask, how can I do that? How can I add to this process of freeing ourselves and freeing ourselves collectively? what can I do?
Be as much of you as you possibly can. You got to turn inside out. That's what you have to do. You have to monitor your thoughts, become self-aware of your own mind, the way it functions, because you have to get your mind back. At the moment, it functions from all the external influences from the matrix, from your senses of what you're picking up, advertising, TV. That's one of the best things you could ever stop doing. Just stop watching television. Just stop it. Because all you're doing is sitting in front of the black monolith from Space Odyssey 2001, right? Black monolith.
Yeah.
Anybody remember that in the movie? Right? You just black monolith. That's what you're sitting in front of, and this thing is just.
Yeah.
Right, just programming you.
And you're paying money for that. You're working to have money. So just
Yeah, it's just insane. So just stop watching TV and just go on the internet. And if you want to watch a movie, download it. Just watch what you want to watch, but don't just sit there mindlessly in front of the TV and just get all that subliminal crap just brainwashing you. My goodness. Start loving yourself more. Really start loving your body, your vessel. It's really important. Don't discard, oh, it's just a vessel. I'm a spiritual being just having a human experience. The mind attitude of this is just an experience, or it's just an experiment, or this is just a dream, or it's just an illusion. That's all part of the cosmopolitical agenda to totally diminish and devalue what we're achieving here. It totally devalues Mother Earth and what she's doing here, and what she's gone through, and what she has sacrificed, and what we're achieving here as a humanity. We are at the leading edge of the universe, of the evolution of this universe. We are held in the highest of regard, universally speaking. The line-up to get into this place is phenomenal. You just got to realise how magnificent you are, how significant your journey here is on Earth, and you really need to realise the value and the worth of your experiences, because when you cultivate the wisdom from each experience, you grow so much. And what we're doing at the moment is we're integrating our universal journey. We are a fractal of everything we have seen, done and been in this universe, all of it. You have access to the entire universe through your earthly incarnation.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. It's providing you a point of integration. This is your stargate. This is the stargate. This is the Temple of Solomon. It's not bricks and mortar in the Middle East. Solomon. This is your soul star temple. This is where your own unique light expression in this universe emanates from. This is the temple of the sun, right? This is what it truly is. So understand the value and the worth of your being. Each cell in your body is a galaxy. Each atom is a star system. You're a walking universe. And really important to start loving yourself. Be gentle on yourself. Because the more you love yourself, then the more you can love others. It has to start from inside of you. It's the only way it works. In reality, all the others are temporary fixes.
Right on. What a great word. Towards the end of the show, I guess I could go for a few more hours, but we actually hope this may be continued at some point
no
with you.
end and no beginning, right?
Right. No end, no beginning. Wow, what a great bunch of stuff to digest here. Incredible. Let's leave it with that.
Yeah.
There was a beautiful word to the end. What can we do here? Love ourselves. That's just you hear it so often, but to hear it at the end of a show like that, where we have gone through so much stuff, it's different to put that on top. It's a different layer, which is wonderful. Well, George, we'd like to express our thanks to you. We finally got in touch with you, which is so awesome to us. I guess it was the right point. You know, we never got not curious, but also not impatient about it. So we just waited for the right time. And what a great show we have here. Yeah, let's do this again. And your day just started, so we wish you a beautiful one.
Thank you.
The lights are going down here, and again, yeah, thanks so much, and to
Thank
be
you so
continued.
much.
Wow.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Christina. It's been a real pleasure, real joy, and kindred spirits for sure. Yeah, I really feel you in my heart, both of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much love, and we'll hear from you soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we're searching.
Bye bye.
When we're finding, we all want to feel the taste of belief. How we search for directions where we meet with our fears. We all want to steer, we want to appear. Even in the highest battle, face the unreal. Do you feel the grace of fear? There is no need to disappear. Just stay here and get clear. Of fear, there is no need to disappear. Just stay